We see a train get out of control and a mom with her baby stuck on the track, but in the nick of time, a man comes and saves them by stopping the train. As the person turns out and gives his hand, the lady says thanks but is shocked to see his face, which seems like a zombie. We see him waking up in his room, and his name is Zombie. He has a dream to be friends with humans, so he helped many humans so that their perspective could change towards zombies. He saved them from a plane crash on the ground and saved children from a burning building. He wasn't that strong. One day, a zombie outbreak caused a disaster that took place suddenly, and he didn't get a chance to escape. At that time, he was a child, and a zombie had bitten him in school, which makes him an ordinary zombie who follows the mob wherever it goes. One day, humans came up with weapons and murdered the zombies in a genocide manner. They used the zombies for electricity generation through a machine. He doesn't get why zombies eat humans or why humans murder zombies. From that day on, he starts training hard to change himself in order to survive. He worked out to become strong, didn't eat meat. Instead, he ate protein powder for 3 meals a day straight. He continued to train even at night until he became strong. After gaining knowledge and power, he decided to live in human society, following the rules and being the good zombie. He continued to help humans, through which their perspective toward zombies can be changed. He runs out of food, so he decides to go shopping. He went to Yi Hao supermarket to buy stock, and the lady at the counter treated him as a human. They helped him put the stock in the truck. 2 men watch him secretly. They have doubts that he is the one who lifted the airplane, and that it might be false information from the media, so they want to expose him. But as he lifts the truck and jumps high, they become shocked. He lands in the city that he conquered for the zombies, and we get to know that he is the Zombie King. Mr. Zombie ordered all the zombies to eat eggs instead of human flesh to get the proteins they required. Mr. Zombie went to meet the boss-level zombies in the hall, where we were introduced to Lang, Fur, Ah Gan, Ah Gu, Varmint, and Blackie. They are all SSS rank, danger-level zombies. All the zombies greet Mr. Zombie, and he shows Ah Gu the poster that he is wanted again by the humans. Ah Gu apologizes to Mr. Zombie, and Blackie tells his boss that they already had to change their base multiple times to hide from humans. Other zombies suggest fighting humans, while Mr. Zombie disallows them because humans are terrifying. Meanwhile, a sound came from a military plane, and it is a lady. The lady is the president of an organization, and the employees report to her that the equipment is ready, and the nuclear bomb will drop in 20 minutes. The president seems to have hatred for the zombies, and Varmint asks Mr. Zombie to let him go and cut them. But he declines and goes to handle the humans. The president informs the ground unit to evacuate in 20 minutes, saving the civilians. The president orders a fighter-man marshal to handle the boss zombies as they appear. On the other side, there's a boy informing his brother Fee that the people from Extraordinary Academy have found the zombies, and as he gets this info, he drops the prison full of humans into the mob of zombies. The ground unit detected signs of human life and went to save them by murdering the zombies. One soldier is trying to murder a zombie, but it's undestroyable as Mr. Zombie has extraordinary capabilities. A soldier uses a rocket launcher to attack him, but he defends it easily. Another soldier tells his leader, who used a rocket launcher, that he is not a zombie and that he is an extraordinary person who has helped many people, and is famous for wearing a zombie mask. The leader was shocked to hear that, thinking he shot the wrong person. The president informed the marshal that a boss zombie was detected in Zone B, and he jumped from the plane. The boy informs Faye that the president's team has saved almost all the civilians, so he orders him to make it interesting, and the boy converts zombie number 69 into his berserk form. The ground unit alerted all as they found a boss zombie had appeared. The squad leader of the ground unit took Mr. Zombie into a secure van and ran out of the place to save him. The girl soldier shows her curiosity to Mr. Zombie as to why he always wears a mask. The boss zombie lifts the bus up and throws it at the soldiers, but at the right time, Marshall comes and cuts the bus. The Marshal orders the soldiers to save civilians and evacuate. Marshall destroyed the boss zombie, and when Mr. Zombie hears the berserk zombie's voice, he disappears from the squad. Marshall uses his sword and murders the boss zombie. Mr. Zombie arrived at the spot, and the news that Marshall defeated the boss zombie reached the president. The zombie told Mr. Zombie that it was not the humans' mistake as they were not able to control themselves. The marshal heard them and attacked Mr. Zombie. Another boss zombie is detected, and it is none other than Mr. Zombie. Before anyone orders Marshall to finish him, his presence disappears from the radar, leaving others shocked. Mr. Zombie hung him without clothes, and the members reported to the president that Marshall got critically damaged, and still there were civilians left to evacuate. The president goes out with lightning speed. The president rashly goes to Mr. Zombie and attacks him with her sword, but as the sword touches him, it breaks into pieces. The president steps back, and Mr. Zombie tells her to stop as they can sort out the matter by conversing, but she intends to murder him anyway. The president used her enhanced blade and went straight to him, but he dodged the sword easily. The president used a red blade cleave attack, slashing in a circular motion, but again he dodged her attack by bending down, which made the president angry. Meanwhile, the ground unit rescues the marshal and civilians. A team member reported to the president that all the civilians had evacuated and she could retreat, but she didn't reply to them. The president chases Mr. Zombie, as she has a strong intent to murder him. She used Aido Level 2, which is a Japanese art, and attacked him, leading him to crash into the ground while she landed smoothly. The president's mission is complete, and she orders the team members to lower the plane's altitude and take her back on the plane. A boy informed his brother Fee that they saved all the civilians, and he ordered him to use the spy. The civilians are enjoying being saved, but soon their celebration turns into a tense situation on the president's plane. The pilot is revealed to be a spy, and he releases the nuclear bomb while the president is still on the ground. The plane cabin door opens and the altitude drops lower, but in order to pick up the president, she must jump into the plane, otherwise she can't escape from the explosion. They are running out of time, and the president's leg boosters are not working because they ran out of batteries. Mr. Zombie holds the president and rotates her to get momentum and throws her into the plane. The cabin doors close, and they moved away. Mr. Zombie moved quickly towards the bomb and stopped it in the air, leading the bomb to explode, leaving them all in shock. Mr. Zombie resists the explosion, but his clothes are torn up. Faye tells his brother it is time to go while there is still a life signal in the area of the explosion. It is neither the first nor the last time they have fought against Beyonders Academy. The president regrets being saved by a zombie, as she spent her life murdering zombies, and in the end, one of them saved her. One of her members told her that he was not a zombie. He was a masked hero who lived in the city for a while and liked to hide his identity by wearing a mask. Mr. Zombie calls Varmint to know their whereabouts, and he tells him that they all escaped on time and are all saved, looking for a new place to settle down. Mr. Zombie was standing outside of his home when the president saw him in torn clothes through a camera. Later, when Mr. Zombie is doing his daily workout, the president breaks the gate of his house and gets into his home with his team members. She orders his members to bring all his things and reveals they are from Beyonders Academy. She informs Mr. Zombie that he has been accepted into his academy, and from now on, he is a member of it. Mr. Zombie asks her if zombies can go to school, but she understands he is pretending, so she takes him. One of the members asked the president if it was right to enroll him in the academy as there are strict criteria for recruitment. He didn't get a place to live because the dorms of the academy are planned specially. Mr. Zombie and his stuff shift to the Beyonders Academy, and he is a bit confused if he is going to live in the president's room and sleep on her bed, so he asks her. She understands if he wants to sleep with her, but nothing is like that, and she tells him that he will be sleeping in the guest bedroom. Mr. Zombie told her that he was not a human, but she didn't listen and took out her mechanical leg. She told him her story behind the leg. When she was a kid, her village was attacked by zombies, and her parents became zombies and bit her leg. She had to cut her leg and murder her parents. That's why she hates zombies and has vowed to murder every zombie she meets. Hearing her, he stayed quiet, fearing her, but when she asked if he was saying something, he became happy as she didn't listen to what he said earlier. Mr. Zombie curiously asked her about the Beyonders Academy, and she told him that it's an organization that uses different ways to fight zombies. She tells him that it has been 1,000 years since the first zombie outbreak happened, and after 2 centuries since the outbreak, their ancestors established the Beyonders Academy. There is only one purpose of the academy, to fight zombies, and for that they hired talents and nurtured them. Mr. Zombie realized that he had become a zombie in the first outbreak, which means it has already been 1,000 years for Mr. Zombie to be living and struggling to change humans' perception of zombies. The president told him to report to the academy tomorrow, as she had already enlisted him through the back channel. She warns him not to even think of running away because it's not an ordinary academy, and if he doesn't report, then they will investigate to know the reason behind the escape. The president reveals her name is Violet, and she tells him that Dawn will bring him to the academy tomorrow while he doesn't know who Dawn is. In the morning, Mr. Zombie meets a girl named Dawn. He asks her identity, and she recalls the moment when they were in the armored personnel carrier. Mr. Zombie reminds her that she was little when they met. Dawn explains to him that he must take an entrance exam where his physical and special abilities will be tested to destroy zombies. She gives him an example to make him understand. If the world record for a 100-meter sprint is 9.58 seconds, then he must finish 100 meters in 9.57 seconds to get admission to the academy. Mr. Zombie understood what Beyonder meant in Beyonder's academy, and he told Dawn that they were all crazy people. At the exam place, there is a crowd, and Mr. Zombie asks Dawn if a person has lifted an airplane. Then there is no need for any exam. She tells him that there are many here who can lift airplanes, and all of them have secrets. Chen, the president of the sports department, arrived as the examiner. Chen tells the participants that it has been 8 years since the academy was established, and there have been people who have come and gone who fought against the zombie kings who could even split mountains. Mr. Zombie asked Chen what would happen if any zombies were discovered in the academy, to which he replied that they would rip it up and hang him beheaded on the academy gate. It's truly cruel. The first test is the 100-meter race, and as it starts, a participant named Wu Chengsu passes the race within 3 seconds. The next is a shooting test, and Dawn won it easily. The next test is shot put, in which a participant must hit 80 meters to pass and 100 meters to be qualified. One group passed and another failed. Mr. Zombie is stuck with these crazy people, and is controlling his strength to ensure he does not attract any attention. Chen, the examiner, sees Mr. Zombie's score, which makes him pass, while he gets the letter from Violet in which she says that he is strong. This makes Chen suspect that he is pretending to be weak. Wu Chengsu hit the target at 32 kilometers, which made his javelin throw qualified. The next turn is Mr. Zombie's, and he is about to throw. But Chen stopped him and asked him if his name is Zombie, and he is the one who was introduced by the president, Violet, of the swordsmanship department. Chen asked him if he was hiding his true power as Violet told him that he was too strong. Chen told him that he is the one who asked him the question earlier, and everyone is trying to qualify except him. This makes Chen suspect that he is not a person, to which Mr. Zombie replied that he is human, and Chen forced him to show his full strength. Otherwise, he would be treated as a spy and get punished for tricking Violet. Mr. Zombie is ready to throw the javelin, remembering the moment when he practiced for the whole day. Mr. Zombie threw the javelin, cracking the ground, and the javelin pierced the satellite and crashed to the moon, leaving all in shock about his strength. Mr. Zombie left all mouths open with his throw that pierced the satellite. The examiner's face can be seen as he is shocked by his strength. Dawn was impressed by Mr. Zombie's strength, and now he is a very strong person in everyone's eyes who witnessed his javelin throw. Mr. Zombie is qualified now, so he asked Dawn if he could go home. But she asked him why he would want to win, with the strength he has, can even become president. Dawn explains to him the authority of president with the example of President Violet of the swordsmanship department, can not only control the army, troops, and tankers, but even nuclear bombs. She has the highest authority over the city of 30 million people, and even the mayor just helps her. The final decision is hers. Mr. Zombie tells Dawn that he already owns a city, but without believing she takes him to the biotech department, also called the logistics department. There is a picture placed there of Professor Jamie, who is known as the logistic head and was the former biotech president. As his wife died, he started doing a crazy experiment that included humans and zombies, and it is said that his goal was to fulfill his late wife's dream. The academy dismissed him for his overdoing and ordered them to murder him as soon as they found him. The president of the biotech department came, who is the adopted daughter of Professor Jamie, and asked if they had passed the exam, which they already did. She asks them about the type of equipment they want, and Dawn tells her that she wants equipment that helps her carry more weapons. Dawn is joining the gunner department and asks Mr. Zombie about the type of equipment he wants, but she is scared as she sees his face and calls him Zombie. Dawn makes her believe that he is just wearing a zombie mask, and she saw him when he did his javelin throw, which was amazing. The president believes him as a person because if he was a zombie, then he would have already attacked. Mr. Zombie tells her that he wants clothes that do not tear up because every time he comes home naked. The scene shifts to the swordsmanship department, where the marshal is telling a lady about his fight with Mr. Zombies. As he attacked him, his entire vision turned dark, and within seconds he found himself hanging naked. She asked him if his president could win against him, to which he answered that he was even stronger than his president. She asked for his name. She allows Marshall to go. The lady named Zhang Laoqi is the president of the sword department, and there is a fierce competition between the blade and sword departments that has been going on for generations. Even if one side has one more member, they give birth to the extra member rather than be weaker against their opponent. Zhang wishes the best of luck to Mr. Zombie as she leaves. On the other side, Mr. Zombie and Dawn are taking classes with his friends. The teacher taught them the habits of zombies to use them as an advantage in their traps. They eat eggs also other than flesh. Mr. Zombie makes notes of them to show his family. In the announcement, all were told to assemble at the gymnasium. At the gymnasium, President Violet warns Mr. Zombie and Dawn to be quiet and not to create any trouble for her. A member of Blade Academy told her that with a glimpse. He couldn't say how strong Mr. Zombie is, so he asked for permission to go and test him. Meanwhile, Chief, the president of Mechanical Lifeform, arrived there and President Sword took her leave, telling her assistant not to make any trouble because, compared to Zombie, Chief is more important and she respects only the strong. The Chief praises President Violet for her hard work. Mr. Zombie asked Dawn about Chief and if he is strong, to which she told him that Chief is Professor Janie's successful experiment, an evolved human. He is also the only man who has survived thousands of experiments. After Professor Janie was expelled, he formed the Mechanical Lifeform Department. His department controlled the city of 50 million people, and during his 10-year presidency, not a single zombie appeared in the city because even if a zombie hair was found, he restricted the area until it was sanitized. The chief gave his speech, thanking the freshmen and asking them to help the academy. He shows them a spy through projection who was caught a few months ago, and because of him, they nearly dropped a nuclear bomb on their own people. Such people should be murdered in an instant, but they have information that the spy is a subordinate of the traitor, Professor Jamie. Mr. Zombie realized that zombies are not only their target. The zombie threat passed a long time ago, and the current conflicts are because of infighting between the Beyonders Academy and Professor Jamie. Some people just want to destroy the world. They have tried a lot of methods to let him talk, even with their seniors, but they all failed. The chief requests freshmen to help the academy, and if anyone makes him talk and gets Janie's location, then the person will become vice president. Upon hearing this, all the freshmen became ready to make him talk and started going by chance to him at the chamber where he kept. After 2 hours, freshmen tried different ways and soon turned very desperate. Initially, the methods are normal, but they turn out to be silly later on. Dawn asked Mr. Zombie if he could make him talk, and Mr. Zombie replies that he can make him sing, which causes Dawn to break her ice cream stick. Dawn tells the chief that her friend Mr. Zombie can make him talk, and the chief tells him the way. Mr. Zombie has doubts about him as his subordinates are very obedient to him, but in the past few weeks they have been losing control, and the spy might know something about it. Mr. Zombie goes inside to see him, and the spy is not in a mood to betray Jamie. Mr. Zombie gives him a cut on his hand that gives him negligible pain, but as Mr. Zombie orders him to stand up, he does, leaving others shocked. It's a virus that goes to his brain from a cut that makes him talk. Mr. Zombie asked him questions and he answered. His name is Xiao Kai, and he knows most of the things. Mr. Zombie asked him the reason for berserk zombies going out of control, which is because of a medicine created by Jamie and dropped into the city. The zombies that ate the medicine went crazy, and even they could control them up to a certain point. They command the berserk zombies to attack humans, and through battles, they collect data on Beyonders Academy. They are doing it on Janie's command, and he said he is doing something great. The spy only needs to collect data on Beyonders Academy members by controlling zombies. Professor Jamie is at a secret base that is 500 meters below the city. Mr. Zombie calls him hateful things and tells him that he put a virus in his brain and that he can trigger it to take his own life. A boy told Brother Faye, Professor Jamie, that his spy has confessed, and they know their location by now. Janie orders him to continue their work as usual, and it's better if they come for him at his location to witness the historical moment, the birth of a new life form. As Mr. Zombie came back, some were shocked, and some were fearful. However, the chief praises him and asks to come with him to register him as vice president. Mr. Zombie is concerned that Janie will run away, but Chief assures him he can't run. President Sword and his mate found it suspicious, as there is no registration process to be a vice president. The chief took him to a deserted place and asked him when he had learned human language. The chief attacked him with his cannon, which has the ability to disintegrate anything. President Zhang was just saved by his mate from the cannon. Chief speaks bitterly. He had already disintegrated Mr. Zombie's head, and once a zombie loses its head, it leaves with no ability to move, but Mr. Zombie moves quickly and hits him to the wall. Chief's mechanical robots attacked him, but he destroyed them all, and seeing his quick moves, Chief left with questions. Mr. Zombie tries to grab Chief. He dodges it and then attacks with a cannon. Mr. Zombie avoids it by bending down. Chief dodges and steps back. Chief seems to be in trouble, but he starts getting serious. Mr. Zombie's head regenerated, and he said to sort out the issue with a conversation as he didn't want to hurt him. Chief takes off his jacket and calls Model Number 1, that turns him into its mechanical life form. He didn't talk, and he started fighting seriously. He kicked him in the jaw, threw him into the air, beat him badly, and knocked him to the ground. He used his center cannon and threw him up, thinking he must be dead already. Mr. Zombie comes out of the smoke and turns to his berserk form. The sky turns dark with the clouds, and no one has seen the sky be so dark with the strange behavior of the clouds. Mr. Zombie becomes serious and asks Chief how he wants to die. President Zhang has a bad feeling seeing him, and they run out of there. Chief never feels threatened by another being, but it's time for him too. President Zhang's mate witnessed that he never saw such a form of zombie and never found such type of zombie in the Academy Library database. They were thinking they would be saved there, but soon it turned out to be wrong as Chief crashed near them with his leg and hand broken. Chief calls Models 2, 3, and 4 at a time, but Mr. Zombie explodes them with a hand slash. The Chief asked President Zhang for help, but she ran out. Mr. Zombie punched the ground and lifted the new city up. He grabs the Chief and hits him on the ground. Mr. Zombie asked him if he felt threatened now. Mr. Zombie cannot control the mind of a robot, but Chief is partially human, so he has a human brain. Mr. Zombie used a virus in his brain to read his memories. He was orphaned at a young age, and he went under body modification until his human body parts were replaced with mechanical parts. Mr. Zombie leaves him from the height because living for him is more painful than dying. President Zhang caught Chief, and she knows now that Mr. Zombie can read memories. Mr. Zombie packs his stuff because he lost control of his emotions again and became scary, even though he is a kind zombie. He is about to leave, but President Violet comes, and as he's about to hit her, she shows him the paper of his promotion to Vice President, which stops him. From now on, Mr. Zombie is the Vice President of the Beyonders Academy. Mr. Zombie doesn't believe in the Chief's sign. He asked President Violet to confirm, and she told him that Chief said Mr. Zombie is a good human. President Violet takes her leave, saying she is looking forward to a day when Mr. Zombie becomes president, and once he does, he can achieve the purpose for which he came to Beyonders Academy. On the other side, President Zhang angrily asked Chief why he kept Mr. Zombie still after knowing he was a zombie, to which Chief answered that it doesn't matter whether he is a zombie or human. Chief needs his strength to catch Professor Jamie. Chief is intended to clear every trace of Professor Jamie for good. At the zombie site, Varmint tells other zombies they suspect that their king, Mr. Zombie, is hostage in the human city. Zombies speak to murder humans and save their king. Blackie and Agu understand Varmint was made because the king doesn't need anyone's help. They didn't stop Varmint because Blackie knew no one could stop Varmint other than the king. On the warship, Chief announced that they have only one chance to catch Professor Jamie, and regardless of the price have to pay. Mr. Zombie is at an abandoned place with Dawn, which is full of army troops. The 56th Regiment reports and greets their new leader, the Vice President, Mr. Zombie. The Central Command's 4th Division and the 56th Regiment report to Mr. Zombie that they will be following his orders from now on. There are 12,000 people in the 56th Regiment, and they request Mr. Zombie to confirm. Mr. Zombie asked the soldier if he would really follow his orders. He asked him what would happen if he told him to take his own life, and just as the soldier is about to take his life with a grenade, Mr. Zombie tells him to stop and throws the bomb away. Two mysterious figures make fun of Mr. Zombie by calling him a weakling. These two men are from the Steel Blade Department of the Stainless Steel Academy, and they were sent there to help them catch the target. The two are President Bang and Vice President Chui. The Stainless Steel Academy questioned them about why they promoted a newbie to the position of Vice President and gave him the important location to guard, which is an important part of the mission. The chief replied saying it's because Mr. Zombie could beat him to death, but the Stainless Steel leader called him more powerful than the chief. The leader explains to the chief that he has deployed his two people, so there is no need for them to guard the exit. The boy tells Professor Jamie that the whole city is surrounded by zombies, and Jamie orders him to release them. The zombies are released, but the president and vice president of the Blade Department handle it. Mr. Zombie found that the zombies were not of his tribe. President Bang tells Mr. Zombie that he is not needed there and tells him to leave. President Bang makes a joke of Mr. Zombie by calling him a weakling again. Dawn called President Bang a weakling and told him to be quiet, which made him angry. Varmint appeared, and the professor boy saw his level at max, and he might be intending to control him. Varmint scolds his mate, the little 7 zombies, as they were shouting to stand with Varmint for saving the king. But even then, no one came except him. Little 7 gave Varmint gasoline and ran away because he couldn't disobey his king, Mr. Zombie. Varmint senses a smell, and a new subject is recorded on Professor Zombie's system. Varmint drank the gasoline and was ready to fight, unaware that Mr. Zombie had seen him. Varmint roared and came close to them. President Bang found him interesting to fight with. Mr. Zombie ran away with Dawn because even the 2 heads of the Stainless Steel Academy can't win against Varmint due to his undine body. The president called Mr. Zombie trash for running away, seeing that he was powerful, and Vice President Chu went to fight first. President Bang was surprised to see Tree thrown to the wall. Before President Bang moved, Varmint came close to him and hit him too hard. Varmint twisted him, threw him to the ground, and at last kicked him to the tank. Varmint is about to cut him with his chainsaw, but he manages to stop it with his blade. Mr. Zombie is observing them fighting with Dawn. President Bang showed his confidence that as a president he wouldn't lose, but soon it turned out to be wrong, and he started crying for help. Varmint is so strong that a normal soldier can't withstand him, and Mr. Zombie wonders why Varmint hasn't recognized him. So he orders Dawn to go to Varmint and put some sense into him. Dawn hesitated to go, so he bit her hand and put a virus in her. President Bang is on the verge of losing, but Dawn went to Varmint and got his attention. Mr. Zombie puts zombie cells in Dawn that change her DNA and replaces it with genetic nucleotides that make her strong. Without wasting time on talking nonsense, Dawn starts shooting Varmint, and he bends down. Dawn jumps and fills Varmint's mouth with grenades. The grenades exploded in his mouth, but they didn't hurt him, and Dawn shot at his face. The commander of the 56th Regiment wonders what Mr. Zombie did to Dawn, and he asks him curiously. Mr. Zombie modified Dawn's genes, and Dawn can still be more powerful. The president and vice president of Stainless Steel Academy are stuck in the crazy fight of the undead. Varmint moved forward with his chainsaw, but Dawn stepped on it and kicked Varmint away. Varmint crashed near the gasoline, and he drank it and continued the fight. Dawn shoots with a rocket launcher, but Varmint cuts the rocket and Dawn's body. Varmint reveals he is undead, and Dawn comes out of the smoke, revealing that she is also undead. Dawn becomes strong after the genetic mutation, but her bones are shattered and her muscles are torn. Mr. Zombie can use genetic recombination on Dawn to heal her, but she must bear the pain of dismantling. Mr. Zombie becomes angry at Varmint for disobeying his orders because he didn't stay at home. Dawn hit Varmint with the machine gun, and he surrendered. Suddenly, Varmint sneaks up on Dawn and beats her up badly. Dawn, being relaxed, let her come to her original state, and she is injured now. The boy underground watched all this but didn't recognize Mr. Zombie's true power. Mr. Zombie comes up to Varmint and asks him if he knows who he is. The boy is controlling Varmint, but now he is unable to do so as Varmint sees Mr. Zombie. He went into a flashback when he first met Mr. Zombie. Varmint's pants become wet, remembering that moment. The underground boy is controlling Varmint, but Varmint fears Mr. Zombie that even the boy can't control him. Mr. Zombie was just standing in front of Varmint, but Varmint remembered the moment when Mr. Zombie punished him for not obeying him. Varmint remembered that because he has an undine body, he was cut into pieces and dried up on a tree for 100 years. The fear trembled over him, and the boy's system exploded. Varmint returns, and the boy still has other zombies, but Professor Jamie stops him as they are about to come down on them. The base of Professor Jamie has 6 floors and extends to 11,000 square meters. The musclehead jumps from the plane and rotates down, with the sword reaching the right place. Professor Zhang tells them to use their brains because they can also be traps, but Chief also jumps from the plane, saying all traps are useless in front of absolute power. Chief, lead the second-line defense to them. They went underground to catch Professor Jamie, but they didn't find him there while all the ways, including water, air, and land, were sealed. President Zhang and Violet are waiting outside the underground place. At a building terrace, Professor Jamie is standing with his team, and the boy is watching the inside and reporting to Jamie that they are inside and executed Plan A. The plan is to make them break the glass and let them fight with the Zombie King. But when they didn't fall for it, Professor Janey executed Plan B, and a baby zombie came out that seemed harmless. Chief was aware of it and alerted his mate that the things that seemed harmless were the ones that were troublesome. The stainless steel leader cuts him, and the Zombie King shows his true colors. The chief announced retreat, and the soldiers ran away. As the leader cuts the Zombie King, it divides into two. The boy releases all the zombies to get them distracted, and with Professor Janey, they can escape. President John comes forward to fight zombies. She kicks the zombies in the air and jumps up with the help of a tree. She cuts the zombies into pieces with her sword and comes down. The boy has no zombies left other than Varmint. The Blackie and Agu wear masks to avoid the zombie virus and are searching for Varmint because if they don't take him back, Mr. Zombie will punish them. The Zombie King is standing still, and the chief and the leader attacked him simultaneously, but he dodged them easily. The leader told him to stop running away and fight him for real. Hearing this, the Zombie King turns to a lady zombie. The Stainless Steel Academy leader attacks the Zombie King with his cleave blade attack, but she stops it with the tip of her finger. The chief couldn't help him because his arm was injured. The leader turns to Model 1, but before he takes any action, he is beaten to a pulp. Leader crashed near Blackie, and Agu shows concern to help, but Blackie refuses to help as they are zombies. President Violet and John were shocked to see the leader losing, and he gave visual cues towards a lady zombie who is a Zombie King. On the other side, Mr. Zombie is partying at an egg barbecue with stainless steel heads and Dawn. The behavior of the heads with Mr. Zombie has changed now. Mr. Zombie and Dawn hear an explosion. The lady zombie is standing in front of President John and Violet. Presidents are ready to fight. Mr. Zombie gets up to see what happened. President John attacks the Zombie King with her sword, but she avoids it easily. President Violet quickly moved and attacked the Zombie King, but she kicked her. Violet jumps and kicks her also. John uses her blade, but she dodges easily, twisting her body. Meanwhile, the leader turns to his true form and comes to confront the Zombie King. Both presidents attack simultaneously, but Lady Zombie turns into a big zombie with horns on its head and hits them away. The Zombie King told him to decide the win with only one hit, and they both punched each other. An explosion is seen, and after the smoke disappears, we see the leader's hand disappear with a zombie punch. The leader is standing in front of the zombie, but trembling with fear. Mr. Zombie went close to the battle place with the heads and Dawn. The Zombie King shows him the true power to make the leader surrender. The Zombie King turns to his true form, and the boy controlling him reports to Professor Janey that they can't control him further. The Zombie King hits the leader, and he returned to his original form. President John and Violet sneak attack, but the Zombie King throws them with a flick only, and they hit the ground and fall on Mr. Zombie. The leader crashed to the ground but was still able to fight. Violet tells Mr. Zombie that it is the Zombie King that Professor Janey created. The Zombie King ordered the zombies to attack them, and President John told Mr. Zombie to order the retreat. Mr. Zombie threw the president down and roared, to which the zombies stopped in fear. The Zombie King asked who he is, and Mr. Zombie replied, "If he is the Zombie King, what will he be called?" All the zombies surrendered to Mr. Zombie. President John and Violet are cared for by Dawn and the heads of stainless steel. Mr. Zombie showed his true power form, and all were shocked to see him. The leader of the Stainless Steel Academy shows his anger at Beyonders Academy for making a zombie vice president. The Zombie King set the condition that the one who survived would be called King. Zombie King punched Mr. Zombie in the cheek, but doesn't even move him, and he makes jokes of him as he has not eaten the food. Mr. Zombie punches the Zombie King, and he goes far into the air, crashing along the way, eventually hitting the ship. Professor Janey did not expect this, and they failed to get any information about Mr. Zombie. The Zombie King lifts the submarine and throws it at Mr. Zombie. Dawn realized they needed to change their location, otherwise, they would be crushed between the fights. Blackie is helping the chief weld his parts, but they idiotically cut all the pieces that should be welded and welded all the pieces that should be cut. Agu senses Mr. Zombie's aura, and they see him piercing the submarine and going to the sky. Mr. Zombie lures Zombie King to come up and puts the rope into his neck and rotates him. Mr. Zombie pulled him aside and kicked him in the face. Zombie King holds the rope, trying to do the same, but Mr. Zombie breaks the rope and crashes to the ground near the leader. The Zombie King lifts the submarine and throws it at Mr. Zombie, but he dodges it and the submarine sinks in the ocean. Mr. Zombie lands on the warship, and he asks the Zombie King if he likes to throw things. Soldiers on the warship ran away, and the Zombie King challenged Mr. Zombie's abilities. Chief explains to Blackie and Agu that they need to go and catch Professor Jamie, and he knows Mr. Zombie is strong, but Professor Jamie is more important because he is a genius and people like him were once born in a century. Blackie explains to Jamie that no one can defeat his king, Mr. Zombie. Mr. Zombie punched Zombie King into space and threw the ship on him, which crashed to the moon within him. Mr. Zombie is standing on a cracked surface of the ship, which is the result of the force he threw the warship with. Presidents and Dawn are tired of running away to safety, as it's useless because the fight covers them anyway. The Zombie King throws the warship back to Earth and comes like an asteroid. Zombie King pierces the warship in the air and hits a nuclear reactor that explodes near Mr. Zombie. Presidents take cover to save themselves from the explosion. The smoke disappears, and Mr. Zombie and the Zombie King land on the ship. The explosion is nothing for Mr. Zombie, but just an itch. Dawn thinks the fight is over, but the Zombie King's hand turns big, and he grabs Mr. Zombie and gives him a proposal to cooperate and destroy the world together. He hit Mr. Zombie to the building with his hand, but Mr. Zombie resisted it easily and refused to cooperate as he had no interest in destroying the world. Chief suggests to Blackie that they should run because even Mr. Zombie became strong after his transformation. But Zombie King is not a weakling either. The Chief suggests they should save their strength and find the right time to strike them. Blackie told Chief to be quiet, as Mr. Zombie doesn't have only one transformation. He can transform again. Mr. Zombie told Zombie King that he was not worth to work with. Mr. Zombie made a joke about Zombie King right in front of him. Mr. Zombie said that only weaklings talk about destroying the world and ruling it. Dawn wants to hear them, but she is far away. Zombie King talked big, giving him a lesson, but his face paled at seeing the second transformation of Mr. Zombie, who seems like a human. All were shocked to see his form, and the Zombie King saw a face in the sky and seemed to be feeling threatened. Agu wakes up the Chief to let him see how his king really looks. Mr. Zombie is different from Professor Jamie Zombie, and he seems even now. The rain starts, and the Zombie King is about to punch Mr. Zombie. But before he does anything, Mr. Zombie cuts him into pieces without even moving from his place. The rain goes from the ground to the sky, and everything starts moving up from the ground. The presidents, the ship, even the sea animals. A giant cyclone covers the earth. All the things start falling from the air, and a whale falls on the building, causing Violet and Professor Jamie to be shocked. Zombie King is lying down broken to the earth. He can't believe what just happened. Even Professor Jamie has not seen anything like what is currently happening. Zombie King regenerates his body and reveals to Mr. Zombie that his effort is useless to him as he can regenerate himself. He can't hurt Mr. Zombie, but the Zombie King will not lose either, as he is undestroyable. This approach turns out to be very wrong when Mr. Zombie pulls the Zombie King with his hand movements and grabs him by the neck. Mr. Zombie tells him that there is no need to physically destroy someone in order to murder him. As Mr. Zombie grabs Zombie King's neck more tightly, we see in ancient times the Cyclones, a robot-like swordsmen with spaceships, and they try to attack human civilization for the 6th time, thinking it will be the last. But the humans' fate changes, and Mr. Zombie destroys those who intended to destroy human civilization. The Zombie King turned into a corpse. Everyone is thinking the fight is over now. Mr. Zombie dropped the Zombie King from the building, and he didn't even move. Chief is surprised that the Zombie King is not moving, but Blackie tells him that he must be scared to death, fearing the terrifying form of his king. Professor Jamie is unable to believe what just happened. The helicopter arrives, and the boy suggests to Professor Jamie that they should escape, as there are no defense boats left for them to worry about, and it might be their last chance. Before Professor Jamie answers the boy, Mr. Zombie reaches them, and the boy is surprised at how he knows his location. Mr. Zombie orders them to surrender in 1 second, otherwise they must go to meet the Zombie King, who has been scared. Professor Jamie and the boy surrender to Mr. Zombie, as they are left with no choice other than to surrender. Professor Jamie and his mates are captured by Mr. Zombie, and they go inside the prisoner transportation vehicle. Mr. Zombie feels bad for turning that scary, and President Violet orders Dawn to go to Mr. Zombie, but she fears him. So President Violet gives her the ambition of making her vice president in the future, and she goes to him to know his whereabouts. Mr. Zombie is hungry and just needs untearable clothes. Dawn asked Mr. Zombie if he remembered what he did, and he answered that he had done it but didn't remember it properly. Mr. Zombie tells Don that he lost his sense of time, but he knows for sure that he has beaten up many of those kinds of zombies in the past. The zombies he had beaten up were weaklings, as they don't need to be remembered. Professor Janey, after seeing Mr. Zombie's powers, has an evil intent to get his genes sampled and to create an even stronger being than Mr. Zombie. The zombie king that was created by Professor Jamie has already turned into a corpse. The incident with Professor Jamie has finally ended. Mr. Zombie is asked to become president, and he has no problem doing so. The president is responsible for maintaining and protecting the city. The president must exceed the city's population by 10 million within a time limit, otherwise the president's title will be cancelled. Mr. Zombie chose the city where he caught Professor Janey. The H-City is a deserted place where there is not even a single human hair. It's hard for him to grow the population there or develop the city. However, Mr. Zombie, without caring about the population, chose H-City even though there were so many good cities as an option. Mr. Zombie's choice left all going crazy. After becoming president, Mr. Zombie's single army was expanded to 4 regiments in order to protect the city. Finally, the day comes that Mr. Zombie has waited for. Human soldiers are helping the zombies move into their new home. Blackie reports to President Zombie that all their citizens have moved to the city safely. A child is scared of the human soldiers, but he explains that President Zombie's orders are only meant to be done, and their work is to move the zombies to their new home safely. The President's zombie people are equal to his own people in the human soldiers' eyes. Finally, zombies have their own city, and here we learn that to achieve something, you need to fight. Someone asked about Varmint to President Zombie, as he has been hanging for a few months. President Zombie orders to keep him hanging. Varmint is hanging from the strings on the terrace of the Zombie Town Municipal Council. Varmint is regretting what he did, and will never do anything like that again. Zombies are thankful to President Zombie for giving them their own city. We see Violet lying injured on the broken wall, and there is no one other than Dawn who did this. Violet is shocked to see the new version of Dawn. She feels like she has 2 different personalities. Dawn is standing, and Violet comes from behind to attack, but is horrified to see Dawn moving her neck back. Violet dropped her sword and asked her if she was still human. Violet steps back, dodging Dawn's attacks. Dawn continuously shoots Violet, but she becomes angry and approaches Dawn quickly, urging her to show her most powerful skill. Dawn roars as the cells that President Zombie injected make her even stronger. Violet quickly moved close to her and attacked with horizontal slashes, but it didn't affect her. Violet cuts Dawn into pieces, but she regenerates her body, and seeing her do this, Violet is curious to know what President Zombie did to her. Violet has doubts if she is a zombie, but she tells Violet that she was examined in the lab yesterday and is fine. From the body to the cells, everything is normal. Violet asked her if it was so, then how was she able to turn her head 360 degrees, and how did she regenerate her body? Dawn can transform as long as she wants, and when she feels down, all she must do is inject a stimulant, and she will be even more powerful. The stimulant doesn't have any side effects, as she has been using it for a long time. Violet stops Dawn. Violet runs from the battleground, takes a flight, and hurries to H-City. President Zombie assigns the tasks to the boss zombies. Fur is responsible for the Flower District. Ah Gan will be the head of the police department. Lang will be the head of the civil administration, and Blackie will be the one who is responsible for managing the city's money. Violet knocks on the door of the Zombie Council, and she hurries to President Zombie. Violet forces President Zombie to bite her hand and comes back in a hurry, thanking him. President Violet's assistant explains why she let her hand be bitten by President Zombie. As he can control minds, he can control her to do something bad. This is not her concern, as she knows she will gain insane strength and abilities to regenerate her body and never die. Even if he makes her dance in the center of the city, she doesn't care. Zombies start developing the city that President Zombie got. As President Zombie assigns work to his subordinates, the city slowly shows progress. The city now has a fashion store, a zombie hairdresser, zombie realtors, and even a driving school, with 54 members already learning to drive. As Zombie began to live his life slowly, Inspector Chen was checking the stats of President Zombie, who, according to her, lacked leadership abilities. She doesn't understand the purpose of the Beyonders Academy making the zombie their president. Chen sees making a zombie president as part of the competition between academies, but aside from this, she doesn't like a zombie to be president either. He has no qualities to be a leader, and to confirm whether he is a zombie or not, Chen will only believe him once she takes a close look at him. At the North Pole, a professor named Strange and his team reached a place where an ancient corpse was buried 500 meters down into the ice 1,000 years ago. They took out the corpse within the ice with the help of a crane and just observed the corpse's body. Suddenly, several people attacked, and someone shut the boy's mouth and hit the professor. Their leader ordered them to use the professor's team as a sacrifice, as they just needed some blood. One of them hit the ice with a sharp tool and woke up the lady corpse. The corpse is the Blood Queen, and the people wake her up and greet her. She asked them about a moron zombie, President Zombie. Blood Queen people report that President Zombie is alive and is as lively as he was. He tells Blood Queen that after President Zombie wiped out human civilization last time, he now shakes hands with humans and even is reconstructing his clan. This time, the Blood Queen has the will to win against him. In Gwangju province at the academy headquarters, President Zombie is called by someone, and in the academy there is a boy lying down. The doctors are trying to treat him, but he neither looks like a zombie nor a human. His eyes are red, and he is a member of the exploration team from the next province, which they found at the North Pole. Their provincial archaeology head, who is with him, is missing now. The man with red eyes is an ordinary person, but when two presidents went to catch him, he injured both. Violet thought to invite someone professional, like President Zombie, to find out what had happened with the red-eyed boy. President Zombie came in a car and went inside and shook hands with President Ying of Iron Club Academy. Ying knows he is the one who caught Professor Jamie, and Ying seems to have evil intent. Iron Club Academy members make fun of him, calling him a weakling, while Chief is horribly scared to see him here. The researchers told President Zombie to look at the red-eyed boy and see if he can recognize who he is. President Violet asked curiously to President Zombie if he got something, and he found, seeing the two teeth holes on the neck, that it was the blood tribe behind the boy's condition, all thrown back through an explosion as President Zombie transformed. As Iron Club left with questions about why President Zombie explodes, President Violet and Dawn hide somewhere. President Zombie has sworn to murder every one of the blood tribe. He thought the blood tribe was already extinct, but the boy appears and asks about the Blood Queen, but the boy doesn't know anything as he became a vampire yesterday. Iron Club Academy members and the chief were horrified by the President Zombie behavior. Violet asked President Zombie what he found and what he was talking about, but before he completed his line, he forgot. President Zombie will tell them once he remembers the Blood Tribe. The Iron Club members whisper bad things about President Zombie, and he hears them. It's rainy and the Blood Tribe is hiding under an umbrella in an alleyway. Two people throw money at them, thinking they are beggars. The Blood Queen became angry, but she was stopped by her mate. She becomes angry at them for reviving her when their level has fallen that much. For 1,000 years, they had been living miserably since their Majesty, the Blood Queen, was turned into a dry corpse by President Zombie. They lived hidden for 1,000 years in order to protect themselves from the threat of President Zombie. All they could do was hide from both humans and zombies and watch from afar. Even so, they had not left the tiny alley for 1,000 years. The Blood Queen is not as powerful as she was, so she can't fight President Zombie at this level. Lanling tells her that the purpose of waking her is to tell her that they have information about a man who can turn her into the strongest being, and the man is none other than Professor Jamie, who can make her strong. The presidents are watching Professor Jamie, and President Zombie asks why they just don't destroy him. It is because they need to know the hidden experiment and research Professor Jamie did against them. Professor Jamie has also put the spies among them, and the only way to reach them is through Professor Jamie. President Zombie raised the possibility of Professor Jamie's escape, but Ying told him he couldn't escape when he was locked in that way. Ying takes President Zombie to show him the prison he locked him in because he is the one who caught Professor Jamie. The prison is called State of the Art and was specially constructed for Professor Jamie. The depth of the prison is more than 3,000 meters. There are 1,500 floors on it and 100,000 armed soldiers, and even going to the bottom through the lift takes 30 minutes. There are many weapons equipped in the prison: rocket launchers, anti-aircraft guns, laser cannons, etc. There is a president on every 100th floor, so in total, there are 30 presidents and 2 chiefs watching this place. With this tight security, he can't escape, but if he does, he will die on the spot because Professor Jamie is bound by the bomb detonator. The power of the explosion is more than 1,000 tons of TNT. Even if someone goes close to him or tries to free him up, they will both die from the explosion. President Zombie feels shame seeing the disgusting actions of humans, and he takes his leave first. In a faraway alleyway, Blood Queen is watching Professor Jamie, who is tied with a self-detonating bomb that leaves them no option but to reach him. Ying tells Violet that Inspector Chen is about to visit H-City because Chief Gang told her that President Zombie built a city for zombies. Ying really doesn't care whether the president is a zombie or not, as he only recognizes the strong. President Zombie is roaming around the human city, feeling that it is prosperous. Professor Jamie has a will to obtain the genes of President Zombie while they are about to be executed. Professor Jamie has a plan that the Academy will neither be able to murder him nor get his research because before they were caught, Professor already instructed his people to send his research data to a place that even Professor doesn't know about. The boy tells the professor that even if they obtain President Zombie's genes, they will not be able to create a stronger being than him because it's nearly impossible. If the professor gets a strong vessel to carry the zombie genome, then it might be possible for him to create a stronger being. Professor planned to escape, and a food delivery robot gave him food, but in it there was a communication device that was placed in Professor's mouth as he ate food. He communicates with his spy to get the location of the Zombie King's corpse, and he tells him that it is kept in Dr. Yin's lab on the 200th floor. The professor orders him to keep following his instructions and guard the vessels. Violet calls President Zombie and tells him that Chief Gang told Inspector Chen that Zombie created a city for zombies, and Inspector is on her way to his city to look. Inspector Chen is the auditor of their province, and her work is to watch the lifestyle and behavior of all the presidents. If she finds that he is a zombie, he will be immediately fired. Violet told him not to act crazy, and she cut the call. President Zombie saw the makeup and got an idea. Inspector Chen Aeroplane is ready to go to City Hall, and she wants to find a reason to fire him because he is a weakling in her eyes. As dozens of buses fall from the sky, Zombie brings the news to Blackie that the inspector chef is about to arrive at their city for an inspection. So according to Zombie, if they want to continue living in this city, their only option to hide the living undead here is to apply makeup to their faces as quickly as possible. Accordingly, Blackie sends Ah to Area D and Lang to Area C to begin the makeup distribution process so that everyone disguises themselves as humans. The preparation process begins with Blackie himself disguising himself with foundations, powders, and lenses to look less like a corpse, unsure of whether it will even work or not. At one of the distribution places, a mother zombie and a child zombie come to take their share. The mother zombie explains to the child zombie that they must blend in with the humans unless they want to live back under bridges and forests, and she makes him understand that they must compromise as the world belongs to the human race only. The mother zombie puts on the free makeup and instantly turns into a ravishing-looking lady, which brings out the F word out of the thrown-off child's mouth. On the other hand, Ah and Lang return to Blackie's office to find out that he has turned into a proper femboy, whereas Ago, the budget Frankenstein behind him, looks the same as before except with lipstick on. Speaking of looking absurd, Ah and Lang don't understand how they are going to disguise themselves since their beastly appearance is entirely different for humans. So to make them look more tamed, Blackie makes them act like his pets and awaits Inspector Chen's arrival, fully confident that his master zombie's plan won't go sideways. They anticipate that the inspector will be arriving there by plane, but instead the inspector comes there, taking the train to throw them off and enter the city directly. Followed by her assistant, Inspector Chen begins her investigation by avoiding the people outside and decides to check on the civilians directly to see if the president of this city is truly good or evil. Her subordinates whisper to themselves, wondering why Chen suspects Zombie so much when he hasn't done anything bad like ever. They speculate that it must be because Zombie is weak and perhaps a pushover who deserves to be hated by a formidable woman like Chen. But they also consider the fact that Chen has always been biased against everyone except for the Overseer, whom she always seems to have a good impression of. Chen hears the two subordinates conspiring against her and proudly claims that she is indeed biased. She thinks that only her lord, the Overseer, is capable of leading humanity and regrets the time when the Overseer stepped away from his authority and caused a worm like Zombie to become president. In the meantime, Zombie is having his zombie meal and wonders how things are going, not being aware of the fact that Inspector Chen and her team have already begun their investigation in his ruling city. Inspector Chen's two subordinates keep debating over her bias towards the Overseer and wonder when even he has last shown himself to humanity. Apparently, the Overseer has gone out into the vast world to explore, so they hope that he will make his return to the country soon. Meanwhile, Blackie and his Spice Girls team wonder why Inspector Chen hasn't shown herself yet, still anticipating her arrival on an airplane. So Ago assumes that her flight must have been delayed and tells Blackie to wait patiently for a while. While they are completely oblivious to what's going on, Chen's two subordinates enter a shop where they ask the shopkeeper if his products are all made of eggs, a total rubbish question to throw him off. The shopkeeper, of course, gets completely scared by the sudden human, and realizing that it must be one of the investigators, he turns around in fear and tells Chen's subordinate to come back another day. Chen's subordinates head out completely confused about what's going on and keep on investigating more civilians who also act strangely towards them, making them question if their city president, Mr. Zombie, has been oppressing them by any means. Funnily, in the middle of a questionnaire, a civilian's hand literally falls off his body as he is an undead, and while the investigator remains in shock seeing that, the civilian runs for it, claiming that his hand was just a prosthetic. Inspector Chen quickly realizes that all of the civilians in the city are dumb as bricks like its president, Mr. Zombie, and wonders why these people are acting so mentally slow like zombies. So she assumes that Zombie must have built this city only for lunatics and weirdos like him, and decides to remove Zombie from his position for creating a mental asylum instead of a human city. On the other side, Zombie reveals himself to be at a rooftop building, staring mindlessly at the sky while not talking to anyone. Ago comes there and learns from a soldier guarding Zombie that Zombie has been shaking and mumbling after consuming his last meal. Ago realizes that the dumb soldier must have fed Zombie a human spicy food, which is a stimulant that forces him to go into his berserk mode for at least 1 month, which means that the situation is only about to go south. Ago quickly informs Blackie about this sudden catastrophic situation, and realizing that they have nothing to do but wait 1 month for Zombie to cool down, they decide to let things play out, questioning whether the inspection team will survive berserk mode Zombie's terror. As predicted, a flying truck comes crashing down towards the inspection team's direction out of nowhere, followed up by Zombie in his berserk form, who lands there, making a flashy entrance, and tells her that he has come here personally to give her and her team a great tour of this city. Chen's subordinates wonder what just happened to them, and as they notice that a literal monstrous-looking Mr. Zombie is standing in front of Chen, they realize that this must mean serious business. Chen, of course, doesn't recognize Mr. Zombie in his berserk form, so she asks for his name first. He doesn't give it to her first, of course, and first mocks her for easily forgetting the president of this city, telling her he is the person she has been looking for all this time. Chen, of course, doesn't believe Zombie's words, as she is certain that Zombie looks weak and frail and not this manly. But Zombie insists that it is him, stating that he just took off his innocent-looking mask. Emanating a menacing aura, he comes near Inspector Chen, telling her that he has specially prepared some gifts for her since she has come from far away. At a snap of his fingers, many zombies in disguise come with the finest cans of spicy eggs near Inspector Chen and offer them to her, to which Chen gets even more dumbfounded. But before she can even consider touching a meal, Zombie tells her to prepare herself as their tour has just begun and jumps away with her into the sky so that they can have a better view of the city. Chen's subordinates wonder how they are going to help in this situation, as they cannot simply chase them. Still, they grab a cab and begin to head in their direction. Both Ago and Blackie also head their way, as they know very well that Berserk Mode Zombie means Inspector Chen's death. Zombie carries Chen to the top of a faraway skyscraper, showing her the entire city from the skies and telling her how much he has been investing in the city for its development. Of course, Chen has no interest in any of it, as she is scared to death. But Zombie keeps on blabbering as he doesn't care and tells her all about the city's new business companies to construction workers and promises that everything is in law and order. He jumps down in the streets with her, and while dragging her numb body down the road, he tells her that everyone obeys the traffic rules here, and if someone doesn't abide by the rules, they are sent flying away. Just as he says so, he kicks an overspeeding truck driver away along with his truck, which comes crashing into a skyscraper that looks awfully like the Gherkin. Chen accuses Zombie of murdering the innocent truck driver as she assumes the driver was human, but Zombie assures her that all of his citizens are fine because his Justice League-like superhero team subordinates are always there to save lives. Speaking of saving lives, Chen's two subordinates rush there to save her and quickly take her away from Zombie before he can hurt her further. Zombie lets them go for today, showing them mercy even in his berserk form, and makes it clear for them that this city can only be ruled by him and no force in the world can stop it. Chen's subordinates, while carrying Chen away from the city, wonder how a human can be so mighty and strong and decide to fire that goofball who initially reported that Zombie was a weakling. Chen gets up as he doesn't want to leave just yet and shouts at Zombie, admitting that he has done quite a decent job managing his city. But she doesn't admit that he has enough combat power, as that is too necessary to protect an entire city. So she tells him to prove it to her, but before she can invite her own death, all of Zombie's subordinates close her mouth. Unfortunately for her, Zombie has already heard her wish, and he agrees to show her the lengths of what he can do with his power. Accordingly, he takes everyone to a faraway seaside beach to demonstrate his powers. Right before Zombie begins, Ago blames all of whatever is going to happen next on Chen, telling her that it was her fault that they fell into the current situation. Chen, who is of course confused hearing Ago as she doesn't understand what to be so scared about, soon realizes what she is dealing with once the pebbles on the ground begin to levitate because of Zombie's power. And as he channels his final form, the human zombie, Chen and her subordinates get left with their mouths wide open as they cannot believe whatever Dragon Ball live action they are currently witnessing. At Zombie's command, the waves of the sea begin to rise, and the air pressure changes. In the blink of an eye, Zombie literally teleports to Saturn, and once Chen confirms it through a telescope, Zombie keeps on jumping from planets to planets, making the inspectors realize that there is no universe where Zombie is human. Zombie keeps on showcasing his true power, simply by clenching his fist and punching in space, which causes a massive force to hit Earth like a catastrophic level asteroid. This triggers a tsunami and a heavy earthquake, wreaking havoc everywhere on planet Earth, making even Violet's team wonder what in the world is happening. Once Violet steps outside, she gets bewildered by the level 12th tsunami, as she figures that is definitely the end of the world version 2012. The government activates their defensive barrier to tackle the tsunami, but unfortunately, it is of no use as the massive waves easily pass through the barrier. In the meantime, literal Anime Superman makes his return to Earth and asks Inspector Chen first if what she has seen yet is going to be enough for him to rule over a city. He literally reverses the tsunami using his superpowers and saves Earth from the disaster that he himself created. Now that he has shown enough proof of his worthiness, Inspector Chen takes her leave while repeatedly calling Zombie a monster who makes actual monsters feel like weak humans. Ago, on the other hand, gets worried as he thinks that Zombie went too overboard with his shenanigans, leaving a possibility for Chen to confiscate the city from them. However, Blackie doesn't think that is going to happen and assures him that everything will go smoothly, as their master himself is also looking very confident. Soon after, Inspector Chen gives Zombie's city silent approval, bringing a momentary happy ending for everyone. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, a giant hole seems to be dug through Earth's crust, where many scientists are trying to revive Zombie King, who was previously murdered by Mr. Zombie. The lead scientist there wonders how much the Zombie King would have developed by now if Professor Janey was still there with them. Furthermore, he also talks about the possibility of humanity's progression if Janey had chosen their side instead of his own. But that's too much of a deep topic, so they change the subject and discuss whether they will even be able to resurrect the Zombie King. Although everything seems unclear, through Professor Janey's secret instructions, a scientist mixes some deadly chemicals carefully and injects them inside the Zombie King's body while nobody else is looking. Just as he does so, the President-level X-Men Cyclops-looking guy pushes the scientists away and immediately demands an explanation. But before the conspiring scientists can say anything, the Zombie King wakes up from his slumber and wreaks havoc in the research facility that is almost 3 miles under the ground. With his reflection, a ray of hope lights up on Professor Janey's glasses as he visualizes himself destroying humanity once again with the Zombie King's help. So he instructs him to destroy everyone at the lab and free him so that he can inject Zombie's DNA into him and make him even stronger than before. An airplane that is almost about to cross that underground lab facility is revealed to have been hijacked by some terrorists who want a huge sum of money. The one in charge of this airplane hijacking reveals herself to be a woman who is so broke that she cannot afford clothes for herself. She reveals her intentions to break out Professor Janey from the prison cell, and after learning that he is strapped up with a self-detonating bomb, she tells her subordinates to not worry and choose violence by any means to save Professor Janey. The woman then commands her subordinates to launch themselves down in the hole, and seeing them attempting to enter the locked prison, the stunned primary guards prepare themselves to defend their territory. However, the invaders easily dodge all of the soldiers' attacks and begin to make their way to the lower floors. Meanwhile, Zombie King, who has now completely defeated Cyclops, expresses his hatred toward Professor Janey, telling him that he has no intentions to save him as he simply does not consider him to be important. Professor Jamie smirks at this foolish remark and tells Zombie King not to be egoistic by thinking he is the second strongest on this planet. He claims that he can destroy the Zombie King whenever he wants to because he is his creator, threatening to end him if he doesn't play by the rules. Zombie King, who of course doesn't believe Professor Jamie's words, calls it a bluff, but upon hearing that Jamie intends to take his own life after fulfilling his dreams, Zombie King decides to help him reach his goals, asking him to make him as strong as Zombie in exchange. The broke woman's subordinates continue attacking the guards of the prison, who can't help but wonder who these psychotic ninjas even are. The woman also arrives there, giving the guards two choices: either hand Professor Jamie to them or die. As the guards show no signs of cooperation, the woman looks down, preparing to demonstrate her true power, which cannot be judged by her lack of dressing sense. Within seconds, she disarms all of the guards there, making the spectating soldiers mumble mommy as they get too scared of her. They open fire on her melons, but the bullets just reflect off her, making it clear that she is truly invincible. At the same time, on the lowest floor of the prison, the Zombie King rescues Professor Jamie from his cell. Although there was supposed to be a bomb that would explode if anyone went near Jamie, nothing happened because Zombie King followed Jamie's plan to cut off the prison's power, which caused the bomb's sensors to go offline. Jamie's associate gets somewhat scared of Zombie King, as he has turned disobedient, and asks Jamie whether they can actually trust him. In response, Jamie tells him that there is no better vessel than the Zombie King, and that's why they must do whatever it takes to make him the strongest. Once they reach the top floor of the prison, they find the dead, lost, and defeated soldiers and the mysterious woman who has been waiting for them all this time. Upon seeing Jamie, the woman comments that the Zombie King is not a suitable candidate to be his vessel, as that candidate couldn't even bend a single hair on Zombie's body when he entered his second phase. So the woman proposes to Jamie another idea, which is to use her body instead of the Zombie King's. Upon hearing her words, Jamie, not being able to believe that this crazy B-word also knows about Mr. Zombie's additional forms, turns to the Zombie King, who expresses his anger towards the self-proclaimed queen who called him weak moments ago. The Zombie King laughs at the spectacle, as he cannot believe that this bee is suggesting that she is stronger than he is, being the alpha male he is. Of course, the queen is not all talk, and to prove that she is indeed mightier, she lunges towards the Zombie King and instantly knocks him away with a brutal shockwave punch. This sudden change of atmosphere completely lets down Jamie, as he was confident that Zombie King was the chosen one. But now that it looks like that is not the case, he can only wait for things to unfold on their own. Zombie King, who realizes that the punch he just took is as strong as Mr. Zombie's attack, wonders how a mere human can be this strong. Yet he doesn't get scared and prepares himself for a counterattack, deciding to take all of them down with him by destroying the nuclear reactor above them. As he blasts off the nuclear reactor, the white-haired self-proclaimed queen remains calm, makes a small gesture with her right hand, and reverses the explosion process, neutralizing everything. Not only that, she lifts up the entire reactor and dumps it down onto the Zombie King to punish him for his idiotic move. As he gets pummeled, the Blood Queen mocks him for calling himself a king, even though he clearly isn't worthy of his title. She closes the distance between them in the blink of an eye, grabbing him by his throat and asking him how Zombie managed to murder him even though he is immortal. Although Zombie King doesn't want to talk with this arrogant lady, upon realizing that her gigantic melons are enough to crush him into bits, he speaks up, understanding that both she and Mr. Zombie are from the extinct civilization. Blood Queen gets bored of this loser, so she chokes him to death using her raw strength and yanks his body down on the ground. Professor Jamie, who initially gets taken aback, looks with an evil smile as another opportunity arises as he realizes that he has now found a better vessel to make his strongest creation to murder Mr. Zombie. On the other hand, Violet comes to Mr. Zombie's office at the municipal building to have a talk with him. Ago tries stopping her from seeing Zombie, as he doesn't want Violet to see Zombie in his berserk mode. But Violet doesn't care whether it's the right time or not and keeps walking towards Zombie, pushing poor Ago away from her. Ago again warns her not to go, stating that things are currently too dangerous. But being the arrogant idiot Violet is, she doesn't listen to his warnings and heads on inside and finds him having a drink of red liquid, perhaps blood. Zombie in his second form gives an evil smile to Violet, which gets her agitated, so she asks him why he is in his destructive form instead of his usual carefree form. Zombie only offers her an evil smile in reply and asks her instead what her business is here today. Violet explains that she has come here to report to him about Professor Jamie and Zombie King's escape from their prison. Upon hearing this grave news, Zombie's expressions did not change. It's as if he has already anticipated that something like this would happen because the guards were a bunch of weaklings. Violet doesn't understand how Zombie can act so normal in a situation so grave and asks him if he already knows about this. In reply, Zombie explains by saying that he can feel Little Red activating her powers. Of course, by Little Red, he means the Blood Queen, implying that both of them have some sort of history. According to Zombie, he can feel whenever Little Red activates her bloodline power, and that is why he knows that Professor Jamie has escaped. Learning that there is a new enemy at hand, Violet decides to report this information to the higher-ups immediately, but Zombie stops her from running away, telling her that they still have quite a long time to waste and inviting her for a drink. He asks her out on a date, inviting her to have some food with him, and even offers to show her around his city. Violet, who clearly isn't in the mood for anything, tells Zombie to not even think of treating her the way he did to Inspector Chen, revealing that she knows everything. So Zombie lets her go this time, but before leaving, Violet stops again as she is curious about Little Red's bloodline power, and realizing that Zombie must have the same power as well, she changes her plans and decides to go on a date with him to get her answers. At the same time, at a hospital, the defeated presidents of the prison cell get treated by world-class doctors. One of the injured presidents among them barely speaks and begs the doctor to call the head of his department as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Professor Jamie and his team arrive at his new secret base, along with Miss Busty. There, Jamie immediately begins to analyze Little Red and gets super excited with the results. He exclaims that her nature defies all scientific principles, as her body is completely stupendous. Little Red's associate asks Jamie to not conduct any dumb experiments on Little Red, as that could harm her, and tells him to first confirm that Zombie's genes can actually be used to improve his beloved queen. Jamie's bowl-cut associate assumes long hair that Jamie and his experiments are at the pinnacle of all human beings, and there are no chances of any failed results. With everything getting a green light, Jamie explains that the only thing he is going to need to increase the strength of Little Red is to extract Zombie's genes by any means. Of course, Longhair doesn't think he can pull even one of Zombie's hairs by himself and asks Jamie if he is dumb enough to send everyone to their demise. Fortunately for them, Bowlcut reveals that he already has Zombie's genes with him, explaining that he extracted them from the redhead, who Zombie shared his DNA with earlier in the story. When that redhead went to Professor Jamie to check whether she had turned into an actual zombie, Jamie underwent a full-body inspection on her and drew a vial of her blood. Thanks to that redhead twin ponytail's mistake, Jamie can now create the biggest threat to mankind and immediately begin his experiment on Little Red. On the other side, Violet and Zombie go to a restaurant on their date, where they discuss Zombie's powers and how he ended up in his second form just by eating some spices. Considering that things like this are too dangerous, Violet asks Zombie if there are any other stupid things that they should avoid in their way. Zombie laughs at Violet for thinking he is some kind of bomb that's going to explode if you make the wrong move. She also asks him about his bloodline powers, but before he can answer, he reverts back to her original form, revealing that the side effects of the spices have worn off. This means that there will no longer be any cool stuff going around with their date, which gets Violet mad as she expected something exciting to happen between them. She doesn't take this lightly and starts scolding Zombie like a crazy witch, telling him to go back to his berserk form. She asks the waiter to bring something spicy, but because everyone wanted to avoid Zombie getting crazy, they confiscated all of the spices out of the city. And that means this is the end of their date and the changes of information. Around 2 months later, at the hospital where the injured presidents were being treated, a blue-haired woman visits the injured president and informs him that she has used their satellites to send the message that he wanted her to deliver as soon as she got the news of what had happened. The blue-haired woman, although she believes the president's story, doesn't understand that. Soon after, Inspector Chen gives Zombie's city silent approval, bringing a momentary happy ending for everyone. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, a giant hole seems to be dug through Earth's crust, where many scientists are trying to revive Zombie King, who was previously murdered by Mr. Zombie. The lead scientist there wonders how much the Zombie King would have developed by now if Professor Jamie was still there with them. Furthermore, he also talks about the possibility of humanity's progression if Jamie had chosen their side instead of his own. But that's too much of a deep topic, so they change the subject and discuss whether they will even be able to resurrect the Zombie King. Although everything seems unclear, through Professor Janie's secret instructions, a scientist mixes some deadly chemicals carefully and injects them inside the Zombie King's body while nobody else is looking. Just as he does so, the President-level X-Men Cyclops-looking guy pushes the scientists away and immediately demands an explanation. But before the conspiring scientists can say anything, the Zombie King wakes up from his slumber and wreaks havoc in the research facility that is almost 3 miles under the ground. With his reflection, a ray of hope lights up on Professor Janie's glasses as he visualizes himself destroying humanity once again with the Zombie King's help. So he instructs him to destroy everyone at the lab and free him so that he can inject zombies' DNA into him and make him even stronger than before. An airplane that is almost about to cross that. While he is completely upset, another researcher on his team finds traces of a big battle there and surprisingly notices a crazy level of technology, meaning that the ancient civilization must have been able to create many monsters, which somewhat hints at how Zombie and Blood Queen were created. The Overseer focuses on the emergency for now and calls his team to head out of there when suddenly one of them comes across a mysterious mark carved on the ground. This mark automatically activates a security-measured cloaked guard who gets excited upon seeing a human after this long time. While the others panic seeing this mysterious individual, Overseer remains calm, as he knows that it's just a projection. The cloaked projection turns toward the Overseer as it admires the Overseer's innate strength and offers to make him even stronger than he currently is. However, the cloaked projection tells the Overseer that in exchange for his increase in strength, he will have to vow his life to protect human civilization by any means. Even if the projection didn't add this condition, the Overseer would have done so anyway, as he is a hero, so he moves on from the chit-chat and asks it directly about the ancient extinct civilization. To explain how humanity got exterminated, the cloak doesn't say anything and instead shows the Overseer a picture of Mr. Zombie. Apparently, approximately 1,000 years ago, the Earth didn't have only 2 continents, but had 7 of them and 8 great oceans. Back then, there were over 100 countries, and the leaders of those countries kept increasing humanity's power and gathered all of their resources to build starships to wander around the infinite unknown space. At that time, humanity fought many aliens using their advanced technology and even slayed monsters hidden in the darkest depths of Earth. However, a mere zombie was the only one against whom humanity could not win, and that zombie was none other than Mr. Zombie himself. One of the soldiers whispers to the Overseer, telling him that the virtual cloaked dude must be tricking them, as the monster in this picture doesn't look strong at all. Rather, it looks like a stuffed toy thrown away. However, the Overseer doesn't judge a book by its cover, and since he knows that the people of the extinct civilization won't gain by making jokes about something like this, he decides to trust the cloaked projection. Moreover, he also considers the reason that their current sole existence has been basically around fighting zombies, which also solidifies the unknown hologram's claims. This discovery makes Overseer realize that maybe it is because of Mr. Zombie that humanity isn't able to fully exterminate the zombie race even after 1,000 years. So the Overseer asks the cloaked guy to tell him how he can defeat Zombie. In response, the cloaked guy tells Overseer that in the past, humans were only focused on improving their technology. But now that humans are focusing more on their physical strength, the only way to defeat Zombie is to combine both technology and innate strength. As he says so, he brings out Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet and tells Overseer to put it on. However, unlike Infinity War, I don't think he will be able to make Zombie vanish into thin air just by snapping his fingers. Overseer instructs one of his subordinates to take the gauntlet to a safe location now, as he first has to deal with the Professor Janie situation. On the other side, Violet learns about the Overseer's return and informs Zombie that the Overseer has called all the presidents for a meeting so that they can make up a plan on how to deal with Professor Janie. At the same time, Professor Janie in his secret lab successfully creates his best product, an even bustier-looking Blood Queen. The long hair, on the other hand, who is completely bored as he has nothing to do, finds a penny in his pocket, and that makes him wonder how he is going to feed his tribe's members. He wonders if he should work 10 different jobs a day and gets so depressed that he starts to even consider dying himself. His female associate tells him not to be so upset and gives him the idea to rob a bank since they are pretty much invincible. So Longhair agrees to the proposition and decides to head out immediately for a quick bank robbery. While the presidents gather at the Gwangju province's headquarters to meet with the department head, Longhair and his comrade prepare to do their bank robbery. However, the bank they are trying to rob is governed by Blackie, which means that things are only going to get worse from now on. As the robbery soon takes place, Blackie notices his right from his office while taking a sip of his coffee and heads right in their direction to make them pay for their foolishness. Longhair also realizes that he has made a mistake and chose the wrong city to rob a bank and will have to face the consequences for his dumb blunder. In an instant, Blackie starts summoning his powers, scaring the life out of Longhair and his accomplice, so they quickly make a run for it, recognizing Blackie as Zombie's mysterious subordinate from around 800 AD. Blackie shouts at them, telling them to return their money, and makes his intentions clear by smashing into the building, which creates massive shockwaves, breaking even the sound barrier. As the vehicles literally begin to fly in the air because of these powerful shockwaves, the citizens question whether Blackie is going too overboard with it. Longhair realizes that he has no chance of escape, so he rather comes up with Plan B and tells everyone to split up and report back to their queen that they have ended up in unnecessary trouble. Longhair gets out of the car hoping to hold Blackie off till his accomplices escape, but before he can even see it coming, Blackie punches him away and goes for the others to stop them from running away. Back at the headquarters where the presidents have gathered for the meeting, everyone greets the department head, the Overseer. The Overseer thanks everyone for their warm welcome, and before moving directly to the topic of Professor Jamie's escape, he shows them the golden gauntlet he has received from the mysterious ruins. The Overseer calls this gadget a worthless piece of technology from ancient times and reveals intentions on not using it against Professor Jamie, but to use it on an even bigger threat that is the scariest monster living on planet Earth. He tells them about the monster that has single-handedly wiped out the entire ancient civilization. And as he goes on to describe that monster, who is none other than Zombie, Zombie comes there to have a closer look at the golden gauntlet. Violet asks the Overseer if such a monster can actually exist, and if it does, where its current whereabouts are. The Overseer explains that he only knows about the monster's appearance and has no clue as to where it is, so it will be up to them to find out where it is, like searching for a needle in a giant haystack. Zombie excitedly turns to the Overseer and asks him how to use the golden gauntlet. The Overseer explains that he doesn't know how to do it as the ancient person didn't give him any instructions, and once again refocuses on looking for the monster when he suddenly realizes there's no need to look for the monster as the monster is standing right beneath him. This realization shocks the Overseer so much that it brings the F word out of him, and recognizing the threat, he instinctively goes for the gauntlet to fight and eliminate Zombie. Out of nowhere, Longhair, who was getting his butt kicked by Blackie, flies coincidentally straight into where the presidents are, which makes everyone wonder what in the world is happening. Followed by the Longhair, Blackie makes a flashy entrance in the distance. The Overseer's subordinate analyzes Blackie as a zombie, so it instantly marks Blackie as a threat, not knowing that he is actually an ally. All of the presidents also start attacking Blackie, not knowing he is Zombie's subordinate, so they end up getting their backside rightfully whipped as well. The sudden chaos alarms the Overseer, but before he can do anything about it, Zombie himself comes to calm down Blackie and delivers a deadly blow to him to stop him from causing any more disruption. Meanwhile, the Overseer puts on the golden gauntlet, getting ready for the fight, and acknowledges the fact that Zombie does have immense strength and power. Zombie tells Blackie that he cannot murder humans as they are his allies, who were the ones who gave him the city. As he proceeds to go back to the headquarters to fix up the misunderstanding, the skies suddenly turn dark because of a complete solar eclipse, which the Overseer claims to have not been responsible for. And that means that a third party is soon to be joining them in a three-sided battle. Of course, that third party is none other than Miss Almost Flashed Everyone every single time, the Blood Queen. The Overseer realizes that everything is going to get chaotic from now on, so he quickly instructs everyone to evacuate the entire city, taking the entire task himself to deal with the Blood Queen. He then quickly goes to fight the Blood Queen, who again doesn't miss flashing him and also kicks him away. Blackie decides to support Overseer since Zombie has said that he is their ally, but Zombie himself stops him from going, saying that Overseer and Blood Queen's fight is none of their business. The Overseer tells the Queen that after dealing with her first, he will deal with Zombie. The Blood Queen scoffs as she thinks that the Overseer is nothing but a big talker, and so she asks him if he really thinks he can win against her with his puny abilities, let alone Mr. Zombie. Hearing the Blood Queen's remark, while the presidents are puzzled as to how Zombie is related to her, Zombie remains in silence and shows their concern for the Overseer, as he is sure that nothing can be done against the Blood Queen. But it seems things will go as planned for the Overseer as he utilizes the gauntlet's powers by activating its button and begins to gather powerful energy to use it against the Blood Queen. But before he can launch his attack, the Blood Queen lunges towards him to stop him midway, telling him that she will deal with him first before going for Zombie. With both realizing that their common goal is to fight Zombie, they still consider themselves to be enemies and launch a full-force punch against each other. The two sides' fists colliding against each other causes such a loud bang that its impact pushes every president away and numbs their ears for a while. The Overseer's gauntlet gets completely deformed by the Blood Queen's punch, making the Overseer realize that the gauntlet was a complete scam and had little to no power in it, explaining why the ancient civilization wasn't able to defeat Zombie. Before finishing the already worn-out Overseer, the Blood Queen commends him for being the strongest human being she has met in the past 1,000 years and calls it a shame that their battle had to end like this. As she goes on to deliver the finishing blow, Violet teleports behind her to take her by surprise. But of course the Blood Queen senses it and moves away in time to avoid the slash aimed at her neck. As she looks at her new opponent, Violet, she finds out that Violet too has zombie-like powers. Violet, of course, attained these powers from Zombie by forcefully making him bite her earlier in the story. Dawn, too, transforms into her zombie form and attacks Longhair's accomplice to stop them from doing any more of their shenanigans. The presidents, with a look of disbelief, question how Violet became this strong and realize that something must be wrong. Dawn's opponent, Miss Ponytail, scoots away from her and tells her to stop treating her like she is a small fry. Dawn keeps treating Ponytail like a small fry and mockingly asks her to prove that she is not a small fry. But Ponytail disappoints her with her small and frail attacks, so Dawn starts playing around with her, leaving the other presidents' jaws wide open as they could not understand what type of steroids she took to get this jacked in no time at all. Ponytail tries to break the fourth wall and bait the viewers into joining her only chairs, but we viewers remain resilient, so she makes dozens of clones of herself to attract us even more. But unfortunately, that too doesn't end well, thanks to our savior Dawn, who super kicks her chicken-like face and causes her clones to dissipate. On the other hand, the Blood Queen begins her fight with Violet, who looks to be on a whole different level than before. Her single slash of her sword with her exaggeratingly strong strength creates such an impact that it cleanly slices off many buildings in the city. The Blood Queen soon realizes what is going on and calls Violet out for using Zombie to become stronger. She reveals that she too has been strengthened thanks to Zombie's genes, and she reveals her own form that she can take thanks to Zombie. As he transforms into her new form, she tells Violet to step away, as she is here to only fight Zombie and not anyone else. However, Violet doesn't move a single muscle, as she thinks that she can still fight the Blood Queen with the current strength she has. And because the Blood Queen has changed her form, just like Zombie, Violet too decides to go to her second form to make their fight interesting. As she takes on her new form, she begins to form purple energy inside her hands, creating a light purple mist in her surroundings. As her transformation comes to an end, she reveals her new ugly face, which should look scary but only looks like badly done makeup. But hey, the presidents do look scared, so that's a win-win, right? The Blood Queen begins to contemplate her life, as she cannot believe that Violet is also blessed, like Zombie, to have different forms. But that doesn't stop her from attacking Violet, and because Violet is a swordsman, she too decides to fight with a sword and quickly summons a sword that, realistically speaking, should only be wielded by Inoshuk from the Demon Slayer. Violet enhances her own blade and successfully lands several deadly blows on the Blood Queen. But she doesn't stop there, as she knows that the Blood Queen is invincible, so she continues slicing every single cell in the Blood Queen's body and completely wipes her out. However, the Blood Queen still doesn't die and regenerates her entire body from a single cell, like Michael Jackson from Demon Slayer. First she steals Inosuke's sword, now she steals Muzin's ability, and uses it in the scorching sun. This is just not fair. The Blood Queen's body regenerates right above where Violet is standing, and her hand also builds up again from the skin. With her body restored, the Blood Queen doesn't forget to flash even a woman as she stands completely naked in front of Violet. The other presidents, who are shocked to see the spectacle, continue staring at the Queen, not because they are interested in the fight, but because they want to see more of the thing. Zombie realizes that the Queen is about to get serious, so he changes his place while spectating the fight from afar and tells Blackie to change their location to have a better look. Yeah, of course he wants to have a better look now that the Queen isn't wearing anything. Violet breaks the silence, and referring to Zombie as a petty fellow, she tells the Queen that Zombie has told her that the Queen is an undead old monster from over 1,000 years ago. That is why her magic and abilities cannot be judged with normal logic. The Overseer, upon learning this, gets excited as well, learning that someone from that time exists, and tries to question her. But because he is too injured, he decides to lay there till the end of the fight. The Queen turns the day sky into the night sky once again and gets ready for the second round of their battle. The Queen makes several slashes towards Violet and cuts many buildings down into pieces of cake, but Violet remains unscathed and uses the broken building as stepping stones to close the distance between her and the Queen. As they both engage in a head-to-head battle once again, Violet uses her full power on her next attack and completely cuts down the entire city. However, the Queen still remains alive, to the point that even Zombie himself becomes mesmerized by her. On the other hand, the Overseer tries to take off the gold gauge from his hands, but no matter how much force he uses, the gloves just don't come off, hinting that they can actually be used in the future. Violet realizes that even in her second form, she is no match for the Queen, but she doesn't give up and keeps on fighting even after taking several serious blows from the Queen. Some unknown entity gets inside the Overseer's head through the gauntlet and apologizes in advance for borrowing his body from him. As the gauntlet emerges with all of Overseer's cells, it starts taking control of him, making him realize that the ancient person must have really tricked him. Violet agrees with the Queen that she cannot hurt her. However, she reveals that the Queen too cannot hurt her because of her regenerative abilities thanks to Zombie's genes. The other presidents, no longer being able to take this injustice, demand that Zombie give them their fair share. But Zombie doesn't agree to do so, as he calls the process and the effects too violent for mere humans, completely disrespecting the blue-haired president. All sides' collision takes a momentary stop as, out of nowhere, an extraterrestrial being makes their entry to Earth, all thanks to dumb Overseer who activated the gold gauntlet. The extraterrestrial being's gigantic foot starts to land on the Earth. Its foot is so large that even a building can't reach its height, causing everyone to panic, wondering if God himself has stepped foot in mankind's territory. While the other has no idea what is happening, Zombie 2 shows his disbelief at what's going on. The building that he and Blackie were standing on starts to crumble as the figure lands its foot on the ground. So Zombie makes up a plan to do something since he has zero idea of what is happening. He first rescues all of the civilians from being trampled and also rescues the presidents as well. After saving each and every one of them, Zombie finally notices the face that was about to crush him using its hands. However, before it can grab Zombie, it teleports away from him. Overseer doesn't understand why Ancient Person is doing such things and desperately asks for an explanation. So the Ancient Person from before appears behind a cheap copy of Marvel's Galactus and explains to Overseer that he is being sacrificed for the sake of humanity. On the other hand, the mysterious Galactus-like being manages to grab Zombie using its fingers and tries his best to squish him into a pulp. But Zombie keeps holding on to his own, showing that even in his small size, his powers and strength cannot be messed with. The two girls, whose fight is now ruined, team up temporarily against Overseers taken over by the body, only to fail as the new guy easily captures them. Zombie at the same time uses a fraction of his strength in his second form and starts twisting Galactus's fingers with so much force that it causes his entire body to bend and twist. Getting free from Galactus's hold, Zombie climbs up towards its head with the goal of taking it down by targeting its head. At the same time, the Overseer rejoices in his revival and comes towards Zombie for their rematch after 1,000 years. So Zombie gets serious and gets to his true form to begin the actual battle between the two godly beings. Zombie, who now looks human in his true form, keeps climbing up on Galactus while completely ignoring Overseer. So Overseer summons his mecha soldiers immediately in order to get Zombie's attention. However, no matter what he does, Zombie smashes through everything in his path and keeps on moving. So the Overseer summons 2 more Galactuses to make Zombie take things seriously, apparently because the human form isn't Zombie's true form as well. With a single punch, one of the galactic beings whacks Zombie away to the moon, getting him pissed off. While Zombie is busy in the cat and mouse chase, Overseer asks the Ancient Person why he thinks of Zombie as a bad person, as in the current era, he has not a single bad track record. According to the reports that Overseer has received, Zombie has been keeping his city under good care, and not only that, he also generates tax revenue for everyone, which helps further increase the development of mankind. Overseer also mentions that Zombie never hurts humans, rather he helps them whenever they are in need, and that is why he considers coexisting with Zombie. However, the Ancient One has other beliefs and tells Overseer to shut up with him supporting a monstrous entity. The Ancient One explains that humans can never coexist with zombies, as they are just an insignificant race derived from humans. They are such insignia that a random missile should be enough to eliminate them all. But because of Mr. Zombie, the zombie race cannot be eliminated, and human civilization is on the brink of extinction. That is why an entity like Zombie shouldn't be allowed to exist, as he can rewrite or delete humanity's entire fate with a snap of his fingers. With the pure will to erase him, the Ancient One inside Overseer's body summons a holy sword and prepares to erase Zombie using the divine punishment from the gods. He summons 7 more of his galactic beings, and as all of them pierce their swords into the moon, where Zombie is currently, they prepare to explode the moon. But Zombie doesn't want any more destruction, so as said before, he destroys all of the galactic beings with a simple snap of his fingers and saves the moon from being destroyed. He then goes directly for the Ancient One to murder him before he can summon more galactic beings and cause even more destruction, punching him back into Earth's atmosphere. As the Ancient One takes the heavy blow, he fails to regain control for a while and wonders how he is supposed to defeat Zombie in this form, let alone beat him in his final form. In the meantime, the presidents help the citizens evacuate from the city when suddenly they notice the ground beneath them is starting to tear apart. Zombie reveals that this is his doing, and as he keeps on ripping the ground from its core, the people of Earth get hit with a 20-magnitude earthquake, leaving everyone questioning if anyone's life matters at this point. Zombie, with a big smile on his face, creates a massive hole inside Earth, for God knows why, and starts fighting the Ancient One in his true form, the Super Saiyan 3. Both Violet and Queen remain dismayed, as they have never seen Zombie in the Super Saiyan 3 form, which makes them wonder if he has even more forms like Super Saiyan Blue or maybe Ultra Instinct. The Ancient One gets excited, as this very form is the one that he had wanted Zombie to use, so he gets ready for his ultimate attack to destroy Zombie. Unlucky for him, Zombie simply tears him apart by moving his hands and squishes him into a pulp like a mosquito. As he then rips the Ancient One into pieces and throws him around, every president gets tears in their eyes seeing their leader, the Overseer, being murdered just like that. Thankfully, Zombie is literally God in this story, so he uses his powers again and completely regenerates the Overseer's body again with a snap of his fingers, making him respawn then and there. As the sun rises again, the Overseer gets his life back, making every single person witnessing this phenomenon wonder what in the world is even going on. Overseer himself fails to believe that he is alive again just after being unalive, and turns to Zombie to realize that he was the one who resurrected him. Seeing the majestic version of Zombie, the Overseer finally realizes why the humans from the previous civilization were so desperate to get rid of him. It was because they feared him and his godlike abilities. They feared that one day Zombie would announce himself as their god and take over Earth. Violet rushes to see how Zombie's doing and finds him to be back in his original, rusty, and innocent form. Zombie gets happy seeing Violet and awkwardly asks her if she is getting used to using his bloodline power that helps them change their forms. Violet takes a deep breath and starts scolding Zombie for destroying the entire continent, treating it like his personal playground. Violet asks Zombie why he played around like that and kept fighting if he could have shot him like that. Zombie explains that that wasn't his intention, and he only wanted to make it more dramatic to make himself look more heroic. Regardless of Zombie's irrational actions, he gets treated as the hero. After this event, the southern continent shifts away by 130 kilometers, all thanks to Zombie's dumb stunt to increase his strength by deadlifting Earth. His actions completely changed the entire climate of Earth and created the new deepest trench, the Zombie Trench. The reconstruction process begins quickly, as there were not too many losses of life, and 2 quick months later, the entire city begins to be rebuilt into its former glory once again. Overseer reveals to be still investigating Zombie and his 4 forms, and still contemplating what they should do against this who knows what created this god. He calls one of the presidents and asks her to buy a few trays of high-quality eggs, as he wishes to visit the new chief of H somewhere else. Longhair builds his own city for his tribes and hires zombies to help them construct it. Blackie reveals that he was the one who gave a loan to Longhair to help him build a city, as his master, Zombie, wants everyone to have a good, peaceful diplomatic relationship. But because unlike Zombie, Blackie is not generous, he also reveals with an evil smile that he has charged Longhair with high interests and intends on making his tribe work for 300 years to pay the debts off. It sounds like Blackie is treating Longhair like Germany after World War II. Longhair asks Ponytail where their queen is and learns that she has been locking herself inside her room frequently after realizing that she is no match in strength to zombies, and that is why she no longer has a will to live. After seeing Zombie's new godly form, the Blood Queen, who has always pursued power to defeat him, finally realized that she would never be able to catch up to him. So she keeps on shedding her tears, hoping that some evil being will again come up with something that will help her become strong once again. Speaking of evil beings, Professor Janey finds the archaeological site where the department head overseer found the golden gauntlet and came across the ancient one. But instead of being interested in that, Professor Janey shows his interest in the corpse that Overseer claimed to be an empty shell. What is he up to this time? Zombie doesn't really know his real age or when he died. The only thing he remembers is turning into a zombie while studying as the zombie outbreak began. Initially an ordinary zombie, Zombie realized survival meant not becoming a slave or food for humans like the series The Walking Dead. And so he started training rigorously and switched from human flesh to protein powder 3 times a day. Succeeding, he became invincible. During this time, he encountered several powerful humans and zombies like himself, but weary of fighting, he chose to help humans instead. Through his efforts and aid to mankind, he earned the title of Zombie King. Despite this, he continued to change people's perceptions of zombies. With his own city finally achieved, Zombie began to feel his strength made humans fear him. Just yesterday, he discovered they were plotting against him. In the present, a girl named Violet visited him. Angry, she chided him for being 2 hours late. Hours later, they arrived at the academy, where Zombie was to give a speech as the new academy chief, leading them towards prosperity. The members greeted him respectfully, though his shyness made everyone feel awkward. Meanwhile, in an office, a superhero-like figure chilling on a couch while panicked staff dealt with an emergency. An eye-patched woman informed her colleague that the president was calling. The hero-looking guy turns out that it was the department head who calls an important person and is about to send some reports. The eye-patched lady asks about the situation in the department, to which the department head responds that it is about the incident involving the ancient humans, which the whole world knows about. Shocked by this, the eye-patched lady insists she hasn't told anyone. The department head tells her that it's impossible to keep it a secret, considering the big commotion it caused. The whole world knows something happened. The eye-patch lady responds that, according to Northern News, the continent underwent a huge battle suspected to involve the ancient humans. The department head then says that the exchange meeting is about to start, and there are too many events happening all at once. Sometime, at Zombie's house in Ape City, the department head visits him carrying some eggs. As he is about to open the door, he is surprised to see Miss Violet wearing a cat-maid outfit. This shocks him, and he asks about the clothes. In response, Violet is also shocked to see him and states that it is just a misunderstanding. Even the blue-haired girl is wearing the outfit named Lanky, which shocks him even more. He nags at them, saying that even though Zombie has been promoted, they dare to engage in debauchery in front of him, and he must report this to the higher-ups. In his shock, he wants to leave, making an excuse that he needs to do something. However, both girls scream in shock, insisting they are just wearing the outfits to celebrate Zombie's promotion. The department head thinks this is nonsense and asks why they need to wear something like that, as he has never seen them dressed that way before. They told the truth and wanted to fix the misunderstanding by letting him in to take a look. There he was, our boy Zombie Man, playing cards with them to celebrate his promotion. It turns out that some of his friends were there to celebrate, which shocked the department head. Even the samurai guy was there, now a teppanyaki chef, cooking some sushi for our boy Zombie Man. The samurai guy was also shocked, claiming that Zombie Man forced him to do it, even though he enjoyed cooking sushi. Now that the department head has learned about this, he is glad that everyone is there, as it saves him the trouble of finding them to tell them some important matters. There they were, sitting, and Zombie Man was surprised to learn that the department head wasn't the leader of the humans. The head explained that the region has many provinces spanning thousands of kilometers, and that he is only the provincial head of Guangzhou. While saying this, he began to remove his mask, and everyone eagerly anticipated seeing his real face. However, it turned out to be just his mouthpiece. Noticing their serious expressions, he asked if something was wrong, making everyone nervous as they turned around. Setting aside the distraction, the department head began to explain about the planet. Currently, there are only 2 continents, countries A and B, and they are in country A. He explained a lot, but I'll break it down for you. He talked about the need to eliminate zombies and how the 2 countries created an event called the Exchange Meeting in the name of peace to discuss their political systems and more. The only thing Zombie Man heard was about the Exchange Meeting, which is an international sports exchange between academics. He thought of it as a global military exercise that occurs every 4 years and considered it pointless. Lanky then explained that the last round was a competition to see who could destroy more zombies, which surprised Zombie Man. Seeing his reaction, she explained that he needed to carry that weight. It was revealed that in this story, none of them knew that Zombie Man was actually a zombie. They still thought of him as a human wearing a zombie mask. Now the department head responded that they are proposing an event where they don't have to do something like that. The curious zombie then asked about the meaning of federalism and monarchy. Meanwhile, at the Country B headquarters, a mysterious and strange picture was shown on the table. The Lord Prime Minister told them to take a look at the picture, which was sent by their spies. Two beautiful, strong-looking girls named Snow and Rain examined the picture and saw angels stabbing the moon or something similar. They were both shocked, believing this to be the technology of an ancient civilization. The boss then informed them that the intelligence department suspects Country A has already started to harness this technology. Once Country A can fully control that power, it will be very bad for their country. Furthermore, he told them that the president of Country A will be visiting next month. He placed his trust in these girls, his capable subordinates, asking them to join the event and investigate the matter thoroughly. He also asked for their sister's participation in the rebellion, telling them that the king has some opinions, but reassured them that if they handle it properly, he plans to ask the royal family to spare their sister. With that, Snow and Rain accepted the mission. Elsewhere in the facility or lab, a scientist named Faye commanded his colleagues to prepare the injection process for CHR-47. They diligently carried out their tasks, switching, coding, and performing other scientific procedures. One of the staff informed Faye that they were ready. He explained that they were working on the body of an ancient person over 1,000 years old and asked if they could really revive that person. Faye responded confidently, saying that in the field of biology, there is nothing he can't achieve. They proceeded with the process and the mummy screamed in pain, shocking everyone. One of the staff members still doubted if they could truly revive such a powerful being, knowing it would be a real miracle. Minutes later, after injecting the substance into the mummy, they were all surprised when the mummy coughed. Astonishingly, he looked like an old man from the neighborhood, similar to Old Man Saitama. This shocked the scientists and me as well. The staff didn't expect the ancient person to appear as a normal old man, and feeling anger and disappointment, rushed to the old man, choking him and demanding to know where he came from. In tears, the old man told the truth that he was indeed the ancient person, begging for mercy. Despite his appearance, he revealed his original form, but the staff members still judged it as nonsense. The old man clarified that he was just an engineer and didn't know how to fight. He revealed that he was the designer of a mecha armor, like a fan of Gundam, trying to make himself look cooler. Even Faye was disappointed by this and started to walk away. However, as he was leaving, the old man called out to the scientist, stating that they were both the same and suggesting they have a chat. Intrigued, Faye let him talk. The old man then explained that although their starting points were different, they could still work together. Faye, still disappointed by the old man's appearance, told him that the key had already been defeated by a zombie. He thought the old man was someone stronger than the Blood Clan, considering the revival a mistake and not wanting to waste any more time. The old engineer then revealed that he had researched zombies' genes 1,000 years ago, knowing that Faye's current method would not work. Additionally, he explained that it wasn't about the zombie's strength, but his ability to endlessly power up, like Saitama from One Punch Man, meaning he could break his limiter. Nevertheless, the old man said that they were the two smartest people in the entire world. He acknowledged Faye's unparalleled expertise in biology and his grasp of zombies' genes, while he himself had unsurpassable knowledge in engineering and understanding of how to use zombie genes, meaning he could create a new zombie. All the scientists were surprised to hear this. The old man then asked Faye what he thought about it. Faye, happy to cooperate, agreed to the suggestion. Meanwhile, at Zombie's house, the department head announced that Zombie would be the president's bodyguard, which shocked everyone. They thought Zombie might murder the president. The department head explained that he was also helpless about the situation, knowing that the president would soon lead Country B. He added that the situation was not peaceful, and that everyone already knew about the Asian people, making it a great danger. Therefore, the department head decided that the president would need an expert bodyguard from their province. He explained that it was a great idea, knowing that Zombie wanted to assimilate into the upper strata of human society, so that no one would ever question his identity again. However, they couldn't reveal his identity as a zombie acting as a government official, which was too dangerous a piece of news. the Guangzhou Province Council would answer for him. The head then wished Zombie good luck, hoping he wouldn't disgrace their province. The story shifted to Zombie needing his fellow zombie monsters. He informed them that he had been asked to become the president's bodyguard and that he could bring 2 helpers with him, asking who was willing to go. One fellow zombie named Blackie reminded them that the end-of-year financial inspections were coming and that they didn't have time for this. Agu and Agen, the twin zombies, agreed with Blackie, saying they weren't free either. 2 cute little doggos wanted to accompany their boss, Zombie Man, and he agreed. They went for a walk, behaving like adorable little puppies. Even the lanky agreed that they were cute. When she tried to pet them, one of the dogs got mad and threatened to bite her, freaking her out. Meanwhile, Violet reminded Zombie that he was supposed to see the president. They boarded the aircraft and saw 3 strong-looking people waiting for them. The masked superhero mocked Zombie, thinking that the new chief was a weak replacement. He continued to berate Zombie, claiming that their province wasn't weak and that he alone could beat 10 weaklings like him. Irritated, Zombie hit the superhero with a single blow, sending him flying. The other 2 individuals were shocked, while Violet sighed and Lanky smirked. They soon arrived at the president's office, and Zombie Man was quite nervous. The president, knowing that the department head had vouched for Zombie's strength, believed he was perfect for the role of bodyguard. The president smirked and asked how Zombie would protect him. Zombie confidently responded that there wouldn't be any real danger. The president laughed, understanding why the department head hired him, and agreed. At the same time, in the ruins of City A and Country B, a woman sat on the rubble of a destroyed building, waiting for someone with a serious look on her face. A huge ogre zombie went to his big sis, giving her the equipment and informing her that the zombie army is ready. Now known as Ashi, the girl thanked him for his good work. She told him that the world is beautiful but couldn't help asking why humans keep fighting each other. Ashi thinks it may be due to resources, but the woman thinks it is because of selfishness. Moments later, she calls out to his brothers, who are the horde of armed zombies. The woman encourages them, sure that everyone has already heard that the president of their country is coming over, and their mission is to murder him. She admits there have been many troubles caused by the zombie outbreak, but she doesn't like that humans have been controlling zombies for centuries. So she questions everyone about why this is happening as military exercises continue to eradicate zombies. She cannot accept that humans from both Country A and Country B are hiding the fact that even zombies can have their own consciousness. Clearing zombies doesn't make sense at all, knowing that countless innocent people were kept in the dark and countless families were ruined due to internal strife, with some innocent zombies murdered in cold blood. Knowing that in reality humans and zombie could have coexisted all along, all the zombie army screams with joy as their leader, who is the woman right now, wants to unify the entire world to coexistent, and everyone cheers for their leader. Meanwhile, in the zombie group, they saw the news about the president visiting their country and were supportive of it. The scene was already filled with a sea of people as they reported on how supportive the humans were, with everyone looking forward to seeing and greeting the president to see what he looks like. Flying alongside the president heading to the country were Snow and Rain, who were also the bodyguards of the prime minister or president, tasked with protecting him. They discussed their sister's proactive personality, knowing she wouldn't hesitate to shoot down the plane before it could land. Meanwhile, Ashi, the ogre, roamed around the city, waiting for the president. They were prepared and ready and promised to send the president to hell. Suddenly, Ashi felt something off and fell to his knees. This surprised his partner, who stated they couldn't afford any mistakes now. Ashi responded that on the plane, something terrifying yet strangely familiar was present, which was Mr. Zombie. Now the 2 of them found themselves in trouble, but the ogre didn't give up on proceeding with the plan. Meanwhile, the plane had already landed at the capital airport, and preparations were made to meet and greet the president, with reporters urging everyone to welcome him peacefully. However, as they opened the doors, a zombie appeared wearing a business attire and a hood. The ogre sensed something was very wrong and urgently radioed to stop their plan, insisting they not attack. The sniper zombie named Ag Sheo halted his actions, having used an awareness enhancer to maintain focus on his mission. On the other hand, the lady was also struck with disbelief and ordered everyone to stand down, shouting in fear. It became apparent to all civilians that the person on the plane wasn't the president. They were shocked, believing the zombie to be the president. And just like that, the zombie was introduced to the world for the first time, amidst the unfolding events in the background. Even the 2 ladies were shocked at who the man on the plane was, listed as the president's bodyguard. Meanwhile, aboard the plane, the department head praised Zombie for his work, explaining that this was the desired effect, calling him the perfect meat shield. Violet and the others were shocked, questioning how he could send his subordinates to act as meat shields. Nonetheless, he ordered Zombie to block in front of the president so Xiao couldn't get a clear line of sight. Feeling awkward about this, Zombie asked the head if it was necessary to do so for just a single bullet. The head instructed him to endure it, emphasizing that the president was just an ordinary person, unlike him. Finally, the president disembarked from the plane, and the reporter urged everyone to warmly applaud and welcome him peacefully. The government greeted the president with utmost respect, while Violet instructed Zombie to stay alert to protect him. On the other hand, the woman panicked as her plan was thwarted. After feeling a sudden oppression, she wondered if she was just imagining things. Snow and Rain were in shock that their sister didn't take action, and they were unsure of what was happening. They discussed that it was now their turn, realizing their big sister had missed the best chance for assassination. They arranged for a car equipped with listening devices to eavesdrop on Asian people's conversations. Meanwhile, the government respectfully greeted the president, informing him that they had prepared a suitable car. However, the president declined, and Zombie was instructed by the head to have the president use another car, cutting off communication. As communication was cut off, the two ladies found themselves in trouble when they were informed that the president didn't take the car they had prepared, opting for another. One of the ladies asked which car the president was using, but the department head cut off communication, suspecting it had been tampered with by a jamming device. The ladies were now shocked and angered by this. Now back to Zombie's mission, they were allowed to take a hidden route to escort the president to the hotel. They had prepared a checkpoint mapped out as part of their plan. The head instructed Violet and Lanky to take the original route to attract attention. Meanwhile, the leader of the zombies, Big Sis, asked Xiao what they should do next regarding the assassination. However, Big Sis sensed someone among them acting strangely and commanded them to halt. Again, like the department head, they used a jamming device, so Xiao couldn't hear Big Sis's command. Frustrated, Xiao kicked his own sniper, questioning why they didn't just annihilate them directly. He took out his knife, planning to murder them all and report back to Big Sis for credit. On the other hand, the department heads continued planning after safely escorting the president. They debated whether to continue cutting off communications, believing it best to maintain secrecy as they all had their own secrets. On the other hand, the president tells Zombie reveals that he knows that he is a zombie. This shocks him as he heard that the president asked if he will still protect him, to which Zombie responds that he will. Amused by that answer, the president laughed, finding the zombie intriguing but still harboring many questions about him. He asked if the zombie might suddenly get a whimsical idea to destroy everyone and rule the world. However, the zombie wasn't interested in such thoughts. His focus remained on his goal to unite humans and zombies. Meanwhile, back with Big Sis, a staff member informed her they couldn't reach Ogre Akxiao. Ogre Akxiao noticed that the convoy had installed jammers. Snow and Rain hurriedly sensed an ominous feeling, rushing to the scene. Meanwhile, Violet and Lanky continued driving, feeling something was amiss. Suddenly, Xiao prepared to attack the car the girls were in, causing a commotion in the streets. The two girls were shocked by the ambush, seeing the silhouette of a zombie holding a knife. Just then, the two sisters arrived and informed Violet and Lanky that the zombie they were facing was dangerous. Xiao declared to the foreigner from another country that they would witness the power of zombies in Country B. He summoned a dark oil, calling it corpse oil, and threw it at them. He ignited his knife with the oil, creating a massive fire that spread and caused a line of flames. The two sisters warned them not to touch the flames, as they were inextinguishable. Violet was surprised to see Snow and Rain there and asked why they were present. Meanwhile, Lanky struggled in the fight due to the intense flames. On the other side, the ogre and his partner were still in trouble, but surprisingly, they managed to regain communication. Big Sis commanded them to ensure Akxiao's return, stating they had lost their chance to assassinate if they continued to deviate from the plan. This would give the president a reason to capture them. The ogre agreed, and they headed towards the base. As they approached the base, they encountered Mr. Zombie, their leader, shocking them. Returning to Xiao and Lanky's fight, Lanky struggled against the zombie's tactical techniques. The zombie used a smoke grenade to distract Lanky, then struck her with his blade, sending her flying. Violet witnessed Lanky's severe injury and was deeply worried. Snow and Rain hurried to Violet and Lanky, urging Violet to take Lanky to safety and explaining they should get her to the infirmary quickly. Snow and Rain weren't prepared to fight such a formidable opponent. They told the zombie they didn't want to murder him, but he didn't believe them. It was revealed that Snow and Rain's big sister was the boss and mastermind behind the attempted assassination of the president. The zombie sniper commented that they were fortunate to have their big sister, or he would have dismembered them. Seeing an opportunity to teach them a lesson on behalf of their boss, he cut his wrist, letting gallons of corpse oil flow. Igniting his blood, flames engulfed his body, resembling Marvel's Ghost Rider, but calling himself Flame Flower like Mario. This shocked the two sisters as they watched in disbelief. All of them were baffled that the zombie could still transform, though Violet didn't react much. The flaming zombie asked if they had never seen that form before, asserting that even as the boss's sisters, they weren't invincible. Meanwhile, Violet began to transform herself. On the other hand, Lanky recovered, surprising the others. Both Violet and Lanky appeared more serious as they transformed, resembling characters from the anime Bleach. Snow and Rain were taken aback seeing this form for the first time. Lanky expressed her desire to experience the transformation further, feeling drawn to their great chief's genes. Violet agreed, unsheathing her sword, and urged them not to waste time. Meanwhile, the two sisters questioned when this had happened and if they were still human. Xiao sensed something familiar about them, but realized they were different. Lanky drew her sword and challenged Xiao, who prepared to attack. He tried to grab them, but his power didn't erupt as expected. Instead, he launched a fireball called the Flame Flower Bullet, which Lanky absorbed by inhaling the flames. The zombie was intrigued and more interested in Lanky. She kicked him in the head, stunning him. Suddenly, Xiao received a call from Big Sis. Big Sis asked if he could hear her now. Xiao replied that he was busy fighting someone. Returning to Zombie's mission, Mr. Zombie was surprised when the head called him, informing him about Violet and Lanky's situation. The head asked if the president had been safely escorted to the hotel and requested Mr. Zombie's assistance. Mr. Zombie confirmed his understanding, and the head assured him that the president was safe in their territory. Meanwhile, during Lanky's fight, she recalled a memory of how she would inject herself with a serum that could transform her into a much more powerful being. She no longer cared about the consequences and felt jealous of Violet's power, unable to accept being overshadowed. The girl warned Lanky that they hadn't thoroughly researched the serum and didn't know what harm it could cause her. Ignoring her warnings, Lanky injected herself with the serum. Transformed into a much more powerful being, Lanky's emotions ran wild. Violet, understanding the feeling, warned her to control her emotions. Meanwhile, Xiao was excited about the situation, believing it would be fun now that his flames were more powerful than ever. Lanky continued to absorb and inhale the flames, then exhaled them towards Xiao, appearing like a demon capable of breathing fire. The three were once again surprised by her abilities. Xiao, affected by the flames, was astonished as it didn't make sense to him. Lanky then leaped towards Xiao, pummeling him on the floor. She had become even more powerful and excited, losing control of her emotions as Violet had warned. She felt exhilarated and continued her assault. After the attack, Xiao struggled to understand the power she was using. Violet grew increasingly worried, urging Lanky to control her emotions. She warned that if she continued like this, she would become irrational and obsessed with her newfound powers. Lanky's demeanor grew even more erratic as black blood spilled from her mouth. She declared her intent to devour Xiao, appearing increasingly unhinged. With a crazed expression on her face, Lanky appeared to have gone completely mad. Meanwhile, Xiao, unfazed by her actions, remarked that she looked more like a zombie than he did. He received a command from his boss, Big Sis, to abort the mission immediately, warning him of an impending terrifying threat heading towards them. It was Mr. Zombie descending from above, crashing into the city with immense force, causing rubble and explosions. Xiao refused to abort, confident they could still fight and determine a winner. However, his bravado was cut short when his fellow zombie, Gi, arrived to extract him, flying away to escape the imminent danger. Lanky, refusing to let them escape, pursued them relentlessly, intent on taking their lives. Xiao remained cocky, still eager to fight and decide the victor. Suddenly, Lanky unleashed a massive, terrifying beam akin to Godzilla's attack, shocking everyone present. It devastated several buildings, but Gi expertly used his skills to escape using transpose. The two sisters, bewildered by the chaos, were caught in the blast aftermath as buildings began to collapse around them. They realized Lanky was completely out of control, and the situation was spiraling out of hand. As the towering building threatened to collapse on them, the two sisters braced themselves. Suddenly, Mr. Zombie appeared and effortlessly punched the structure, like Saitama from One Punch Man, saving them in an instant. The sisters were utterly perplexed by the sudden appearance of a hooded man. Mr. Zombie then transformed his appearance to that of a normal human being, further confusing them. Lanky is now out of control of her powers, unleashing laser beams from her mouth. Mr. Zombie saw this and, with the clench of his fist, he destroyed Lanky's demonic mask, stopping Lanky's ruckus. As all of them are now distracted by that, Mr. Zombie transforms back to his original form. And now Violet is escorting and supporting Lanky, nagging her that she should control her emotions. Lanky apologizes, saying she got too excited about her powers. On the other hand, Snow and Rain are still in shock, swearing they saw a handsome hooded man moments ago, to which her sister agrees. In other words, they must have seen the same thing, but the two of them are in denial about what they think they saw. She then asked her sister if they had researched the county for a long time, but never met the hooded man before. As the sister saw Mr. Zombie and the others about to go home, she thinks that they have already grasped the ancient civilization's technology. While her sister is frustrated by this, the other was informed that the president had already arrived at the hotel. So she told her sister not to overthink it, as the president has already arrived at the hotel and that they should go back to the HQ. She then calls out to a fellow staff member from HQ, asking for help, wanting to know what role the hooded man in Country A was. Meanwhile, Xiao and Agyu went to the safer area. He nags at Xiao, asking what he was doing, that he could have died there. He then set aside the hooded man from earlier, saying they have missed the best chance for an assassination. Right now, he told him that there's a new problem, as two powerful bosses have entered their territory. And that powerful being was none other than the two doggies that were locked in a pet transport cage. Lanky is now in charge of those two zombie bosses. Since she knows that the two dog zombies can talk, she told them to behave properly or they will get exposed, and she would even tell their boss. And so those dog zombies, or monsters or whatever, begin to bark like dogs and act like dogs. Later on, they met Snow and Rain, and the sisters noticed that their pets look special. Violet responds that they are right, they look special. However, the sisters don't think much about that. With that, they agree about their dogs and tell them that the meeting will officially start 2 days later, hoping for a pleasant cooperation. As Violet and Lanky walk away, they notice the sisters noticing how shrewd they are and that they've never dealt with them before. It is impossible to know the source of their power. 2 days later, the country president formally began his 7th-day visitation meeting. The reporter reports that the country president has now arrived at their biggest mall. The president will be inspecting their business model as well and might even sign a huge business contract with them. At noon, they will be inspecting some of their technology companies and will be meeting Her Majesty the Queen in the afternoon. Now in the evening, the president will be having a roundtable conference with their prime minister to discuss official matters. All of that was done accordingly. It was nighttime and Violet and Mr. Zombie were there. Violet was tired after the conference, though she thought it was a good thing that they cooperated with their security measures, or it would have been more tiresome. Meanwhile, the two sisters, Snow and Rain, have now researched Mr. Zombie. She asked her sister if the hooded man, who is Mr. Zombie, saw him turn into a handsome guy, and she was sure she saw that. Suddenly, a guy named Kui, who is the department head of the country, asked them whose memory they wanted him to extract. She pointed out that she wanted Mr. Zombie's. Knowing that the conference was already over, they needed to act quickly, as they saw the hooded man was too mysterious and their research showed no intel on Mr. Zombie among the important personalities of Country A. They couldn't find any information after the investigation, but she was sure that Mr. Zombie had something to do with the ancient civilization. Now Kui hears this and is very intrigued by it, as he understood there is nothing he can't do within his profession. So he transformed himself into the president. The two sisters were very amused by his power, thinking it was perfect. Meanwhile, Mr. Zombie and Violet are still chilling outside as they drink some beverages. Violet asks a question, wondering how long Mr. Zombie has been alive, to which he responds that he doesn't really know, as he has forgotten, making her wonder if it's 100 or 1,000 years. But she thinks it's pointless to ask since he doesn't know how old he is. Meanwhile, the ogre and his partner are there and are very nervous around Mr. Zombie. His partner asked why they needed to come here, to which the ogre responded that he just wanted to see who exactly it was that he saw that day, since he is pretty sure that Mr. Zombie wasn't a human. They follow Mr. Zombie. The ogre feels different about him, with the huge aura Mr. Zombie has, telling his system that he is a very dangerous person. So he gives up and runs away. On the other hand, Mr. Zombie gets called by Violet, informing him that the president has called him, stating that the president is waiting for him in room 6 to 14. Lanky then appears to Violet looking all nervous and tells her that the president is looking for them as well. Now Mr. Zombie meets up with the fake president, Kui, who is waiting for him. Kui told him that he wanted to ask him some questions. Meanwhile, Lanky and Violet are about to go to the president, and Lanky asked Violet if she was able to contact Mr. Zombie, which she really can't. It was revealed that the sisters have jammed the communication as they wanted to find out their secret to the origin of their power. Nevertheless, Violet and Lanky go inside the president's office, where he is just playing Tetris on his Nintendo Switch. Confused by this, both of them ask the president if he called them, which is true, but he just wanted to take a bathroom break, making them very annoyed by that. But of course, as he is the president, they just do what they must do and escort him to the bathroom. In the bathroom, at the same time, the ogre and his partner are there also. His partner can't help asking why the ogre is the one running away, and he responds that he just wanted to confirm something and see if there are any opportunities. Suddenly, the president joins in to use the toilet, and the two zombies are surprised to see the president. With that, this was the opportunity they were waiting for, and so they kidnap the president, breaking free from the tower. Both of them feel so happy that they really hit the jackpot, thinking of this as truly a blessing in disguise. As the two partners laughed with joy, they never expected to get such a huge lucky gift. Meanwhile, the two girls are scared to check the men's room, and when they do, they see a hole and find that the president is nowhere to be found. The two of them panic. They then alert everyone that the president was kidnapped, and now the entire place is in lockdown. They must find the president before the media finds out. Violet and Lanky are in a panic and still can't contact Mr. Zombie. In desperation, Lanky wants to transform as this is urgent, but Violet stops her. Violet told her that without Mr. Zombie, she might murder everyone, including the president, and even she can't guarantee that she can control that power. She's afraid that she might put the president's life in danger when they find him. With no other choices, they saw the two dogs and tried to use them to track the president. The two dogs are freed and try their best to find the president. As they found the scent, one of the dogs threw his friend outside, causing a huge hole, and leaped away, stating that they should lead it to them. One of the zombie men finds the ogre, calls him brother, and warns him that if he doesn't want to die, he should leave the president behind. Now, the ogre has the ability to see the aura of the zombies and is so shocked, realizing that they are the two bosses they were talking about. With that, they should run faster to get back to their headquarters. The two dog bosses see them fleeing and now know that they are their enemies. At the same time, we can see that Violet and Lanky are worried as well, thinking that they should join the search as well. The two girls then rush to join in the chase. However, they have already reached the zombies' territory in the ruins. The two zombie partners have now arrived at their headquarters along with the president, and all of them are very surprised to see that they have the president. But the ogre tells them not to just stand there, informing them that they got two bogies chasing after them. And there they are, the two lovely doggies, finally reaching the ruins as well. All of the zombies are very surprised to see them and call them the outsiders. One of the dogs tells them that they should hand over the person so that they can avoid a war. Furthermore, they tell them that they now have to deal with the zombies from the entire foreign country. But Agi just giggles at them, telling them that the two human nations haven't even started to fight yet, asking why they should fight against other countries' zombies. He asked another question on why a zombie would choose to help humans. The dog then asks him that question, pointing out that he is also staying with humans. So Agi answers that question, stating that he is just there working for the future of their community. The dogs remember their past, noting that the first half of their life was just like that of an ordinary beneficial bird. Originally, they were just little crows mixed in with the community that cleared up corpses and garbage for the humans. They preyed on the past and reduced the risk of contagious disease to humans, so he questioned why they became incarnations of pests, terror, and evil in human eyes. With that, he hated humans, not because of their prejudice, but because of the envy of human nature. He wanted to become human as well, to have the same pair of feet as humans, and he wanted to be like them, possessing consciousness and wisdom to become a higher being. However, in reality, as a corpse bird, he was eventually exterminated by humans. There he was, our boy, Zombie Man, questioning if the earth is such chaos. Mr. Zombie looked around and saw the crow, noticing that their wings were all gone. Now Mr. Zombie decided to take care of them, calling the bird Lang. He talked to Lang, saying that he must remember that hatred and destruction are not always the solution. and there he was, not a dog all along, but a cute crow, a cute little birdie named Lang. So let's just call him Lang from now on. Lang talks to them, stating that the facts prove their plan is even more magnificent than theirs. Ah-gi now realizes they can't come to an agreement. Later on, the two girls arrive in the ruins. Xiao sees them as a real threat and begins transforming back to his fiery form. He asks Ah-gi why he is still talking so much nonsense to them. He screams and shouts at them that this isn't their territory and they aren't pushover zombies. Lang began to transform into a more human-looking form while he thought of the past, where Mr. Zombie really cared about him. He remembered Mr. Zombie's words, saying that whether he wanted to become human or some other kind of creature, he would accept him for who he was. And there we can see Lang's hot, yummy human form, telling them that he had no intention of negotiating with them either. This shocks the two girls, who are taken aback by how hot Lang is. Now the two girls still surprised that Lang isn't a dog, but a sexy, furry, humanoid bird dude. Even Ah-gi and Xiao are surprised about his transformation, telling him that he is just a wingless bird disguised as a human like most furry people do. With anger, Xiao came waved at Lang with a huge light of fire at him, but as Lang was about to get hit by that attack, he made that fiery laser into a giant flaming tornado, affecting the others. Xiao then rushed in for an attack towards the Birdman. But no, our bird boy would win as he punched Xiao in the guts. The punch was so strong that it sent Xiao flying, having gone straight from building to building. After that, with the power of Lang, he used his claw, and with one swipe, he easily clawed, slicing through buildings like butter. This affected some of the innocent zombies, sending them flying away. And there we can see Xiao on the floor, defeated as he fell unconscious with claw marks on his chest. Ah-gi then calls out the zombies, and the demons charge together and drive the two boss monsters. To stop them, he used his technique, which is the dagger art, where all his daggers scatter around with such speed, but that didn't even affect our boy Lang as he managed to catch them or wasn't affected by them. Ah-gi rushes towards him, but our boy Lang blocks him with just his palm. He then palm strikes Ah-gi, causing a huge shockwave that makes Ah-gi back away. On the other hand, Violet and Lanky spot the president, prompting Ah-gi to command all the zombie soldiers to stop them. Multiple zombies jump high to reach the two girls. However, they forgot about the other dog, and this dog wasn't normal. He began to grow his arm bigger than the buildings, and not just any arm, he began to grow himself as well, like a giant Godzilla monster. All the zombies and the two girls are shocked to see this, realizing that this creature wasn't just a dog, it looked like a demon king risen from hell. Ah-gi, realizing how huge the giant monster is, thinks of it as an ancient aberrant species. The two girls still can't believe that the two dogs aren't really dogs, but powerful boss-level monsters. They ask why the creatures were living in a cage before, thinking they weren't a threat at all. It's revealed that Ah-gi was telling the truth about the giant dog monster demon thingy. I don't know anymore, man. Anyways, the huge monster is a greater being, which is a legendary level aberrant species. Ogre gives the president to his partner. The team plans to go out and help, urging him to activate the consciousness enhancement device that can make them stronger, or else they'll be at the mercy of zombies from another country, knowing they won't be a match for them. On the other hand, Ah-gi is at a loss and doesn't know what to do. He's still surprised that there's still a monster from ancient times. He finally realizes that the two monsters weren't ordinary zombie bosses after all. Lang then approaches his brother, the giant monster. The ogre's partner then went to see the boss, Big Sis, informing her that they have a huge problem and even gave him the president. This shocks her, asking why he still has him and ordering him to just murder him directly. However, he walks away, wanting to help and support the others. Now back to the battlefield, Ah-gi screams with determination and shouts, asking the zombies for help to drive the outsider away. Lang didn't expect there to be human technology, but his brother tells him that it's none of their concern, they only obey one person. With powerful strength, Lang pulverizes half of the city in one strike, sending other zombies flying away with the gust of wind and powerful impact from the huge monster. Now everyone is panicking, not expecting this at all. They notice the entire army is annihilated in just one strike. Ah-gi is very frustrated as he tries to grab and hit Lang. But of course, Lang is much more powerful, throwing him to the floor and causing Ah-gi to cough up blood. On the other hand, Ogre now approaches the giant monster, instructed by his partner to activate the device, making him much stronger and evolving into a huge monster of the same height as Mr. Zombie's lapdog. The scene now resembles Pacific Rim or Godzilla vs. Kong as the two face each other. Ogre is surprised, asking if they belong to the same race. Nevertheless, Ogre begins grappling with the huge monster. Meanwhile, Aoi doesn't give up. He stands and tries to hit Lang, admitting that Lang is much more powerful. He asks why they chose to help humanity when they are obviously the same race and species. However, Lang cannot answer that question. He only follows orders to retrieve the human president, punching Agi and sending him flying. Agi states they just want the continuation of their race and haven't done anything wrong. Now we return to the two giants fighting. Ogre refuses to give up. The huge monster tells him that if he doesn't bring the human president back, all of them will die by his hands. The huge monster had enough as he grabbed the ogre's neck and began to Rasengan him with the power of his hand, striking it towards the ogre's face. As the ogre falls down, the huge monster isn't finished yet and grabs him again. Ashi the ogre asks him a question, acknowledging their incredible power and echoing Aoi's words about why they chose to become prisoners of the human race despite possessing such destructive power and serving humans like dogs. The huge monster responds with a question of his own, asking why wouldn't he want to destroy humanity entirely. He then reveals his backstory, recalling when he was just a young zombie in his alien family. Unlike the mindless zombies of The Walking Dead, his alien race had their own consciousness and culture, seeking only to establish their own territory and live peacefully. However, humans arrived with their advanced technology, looking like something out of a Pacific Rim movie, and destroyed their home. This was driven by a belief that those unlike them must be exterminated. He remembers how all his ancestors perished in that battle, with not a single survivor. To protect him, his mother or his parents hid him beneath the ruins, attempting to help him escape from the humans' hunt. Now the humans call them monsters, but in his eyes, he wonders what our humanity was, as he witnessed them with his own eyes slaughtering his entire family. At that moment, he began to hate humans more than any other creature and desired revenge, despite his own cowardice and lack of strength to protect them. He remembers that the huge robot stated that all abnormal species had been eradicated and that from now on, there would be no more zombie-like alien species on Earth. However, he suddenly detects one last alien zombie, prompting him to begin searching. Just when he thought his fate was sealed, he spotted one of his kind again, and it was our boy Mr. Zombie again with his human form. I don't know if he is Mr. Zombie, but I think he is. Meanwhile, the alien child observed him, considering him an extraordinary figure of his own kind, albeit appearing somewhat peculiar as he witnessed him confronting the entire human army alone. Facing a colossal robot and a spaceship descending from the sky, all the soldiers were utterly shocked to see their forces decimated. With no alternative, they ordered all weapons to fire at the target. The commander instructed them to unleash every resource the ground, the sea, and even the space to bring him down. The alien child watched in awe as he single-handedly battled the entire human army, effortlessly bringing their technology to ruin with a mere gesture, appearing almost godlike in his ability to command destruction, sinking ships to the ocean depths and decimating fleets. They thought they had him cornered, resorting to their last resort, the electromagnetic orbital cannon from the ship. Its power was so immense that it reached across continents, eclipsing even atomic bomb explosions. Yet to their disbelief, Mr. Zombie stood unscathed, untouched by their assault. The alien child observed in disbelief as even the rumored laser from his tribe, capable of vaporizing zombie cells, proved futile against this resilient figure. Not even the strongest mechanical restraints crafted by humans could withstand a single blow from him. Where he can accomplish everything that he wished he could do, and with that sigh, the alien child saw the same look of fear that was always on his people's faces appear to those human faces, and he was very lucky to survive in that century-defying war, where we can see the alien child swimming escaping from that war. The other living beings were not as lucky as our boy, who completely wiped out human civilization, including all other life on Earth. The battle caused the world's oceans to dry up, directly vaporizing many beings and reducing the original hundreds of countries to only two, the country A and country B. What zombies do for something they could never achieve in life, he knew he hated humans as much as he did. As he looked at the wasteland the planet had become, devoid of all life, he realized that Mr. Zombie didn't feel the happiness that should have come from finally getting revenge. Instead, in his eyes, he saw endless loneliness, and I was right all along. It was Mr. Zombie in his human form, as he reverted back to his original state. He took his iconic hoodie the same time he found Lang amidst the rubble, and with that, this was his backstory. In the end, he follows his boss, Mr. Zombie, remembering his words that hatred and destruction cannot solve problems, and as long as they pose no threat to mankind, they can definitely accomplish his great plan. And now, back in the present, as our alien boy finishes telling his story, he asks if they understand what he was just saying. Surprisingly, the two girls are listening and are very shocked to hear it. Now the alien boy throws the ogre into the building. The ogre thinks that what he said is nonsense, and that he doesn't believe someone as strong as his master could exist in their world. Speaking of Mr. Zombie, let's return to his situation now. Kui, shaking with fear after processing the data in his head, can't handle the 2,000 years of memories in Mr. Zombie's mind. He transforms back, coughing up blood. Now the two sisters want to know what happened in his memory. Kui begins to lose consciousness, managing to say only that Mr. Zombie murdered all of their ancestors. The two sisters are shocked and ask for an explanation. Though they know it doesn't make sense, they still need his help. So the sisters rushes at him to retrieve his body while Mr. Zombie is still asleep. Minutes later, Mr. Zombie is surprised, wondering if he fell asleep and confused about the disappearance of the fake president. Meanwhile, Kui is rushed to the infirmary, and the two sisters don't want him to die. They want to know what Kui saw in Mr. Zombie's past. Meanwhile, the head calls out for Mr. Zombie. Now that they finally have him, he's informed of an emergency. The president was kidnapped. Confused, he remembers being with the president just moments ago, but he's told the president was taken 30 minutes ago. Our boy, Mr. Zombie, rushes out to find the president. Back at the emergency room, the doctor delivers grim news that Kui's condition is dire, and he's now in a vegetative state. The news shocks the two sisters, realizing he may never speak again. Returning to the ogre, he doesn't believe what the alien boy said, questioning why they still suffer if such a powerful zombie exists who wiped out human civilization. The huge alien boy responds that if the ogre seeks answers, he should ask the humans. Ashi, the ogre, screams in desperation and determination, declaring he'll only return the president over his dead body. His outcry incites the remaining zombies into a frenzy. In response, the alien boy vows to ensure they all vanish from the world. He conjures a giant red energy ball in the sky, shocking everyone as it wasn't part of their plan. Fortunately for them, Mr. Zombie intervenes, stopping the alien boy with a palm to the ogre's nose. He commands his pet to cease. The remaining zombies, earlier frenzied, are now shocked into silence by Mr. Zombie's commanding presence. With a single word, "Stop," he brings them to their knees, seeing him as their new king. The two girls are stunned by this transformation, noticing the sudden quiet. The alien boy informs the ogre that he has finally met his master. The ogre is surprised, questioning if Mr. Zombie is their progenitor or ancestor of all zombies. To the ogre, Mr. Zombie appears dangerously godly, but to us, he looks calm and collected, akin to Saitama. Mr. Zombie asks the ogre where the president is. Fearfully, the ogre reveals the truth that the human president is on the first floor below ground, at the gate. Agi, on the other hand, can't believe the ogre knelt down, pondering how Mr. Zombie's presence exerts even greater pressure than the other two combined. Meanwhile, the big sis aims her gun at the president, declaring she'll show no mercy to her enemies. Just as she's about to pull the trigger, the president asks if she leads the country peace rebel force, acknowledging her quiet rise to fame as a great missionary. Despite this, the older sister is impatient. However, the president urges her to wait, offering information about the ancient civilization, curious if she's interested. With that, the president intrigues the big sis with his proposal. She pulls out her mask, insisting he speaks clearly as her patience wears thin. The president begins to explain that the reason for Country B's suspicious behavior is their discovery of ancient people's remains. Despite only defeating one, they've acquired ancient technology. Country B values his visit to obtain this information. He goes on to suggest that instead of war exhausting both countries, he could simply provide the information about the ancient civilization, allowing her to defeat Country B herself. The big sis becomes increasingly anxious, suspecting he's stalling for time. Suddenly, a group of zombies from a hidden room interrupts the conversation, surprising everyone with their action. Our boy, Mr. Zombie, now faces off with the big sis. As the big sis struggled with the zombies, she asked who Mr. Zombie was. However, our boy didn't really care about her. He was too surprised that a human like her was the leader of the zombies in that country, which he found amusing. Since our boy had no interest in leadership, he told her she couldn't murder the president. Big Sis was shocked to hear this and asked what it had to do with him. She then commanded all her zombies to stop them or they wouldn't get a chance. To her surprise, her zombies weren't listening. She noticed something was wrong. The zombies had no reaction, leading her to think Mr. Zombie was controlling them. Mr. Zombie then commanded the other zombies to let her go after they left. He explained to Big Sis that they were civilized zombies who didn't randomly commit massacres. After leaving the secret hideout, Mr. Zombie and the president emerged. The two girls were terrified after the president's kidnapping. The president responded that he felt better than ever, not expecting such an event after using the toilet. Meanwhile, Mr. Zombie recalled his conversation with the president, realizing he had spoken to a fake. Now our boy realized the president had some sort of powers, and he couldn't underestimate him. Thus, the country's president's tour of the zombie headquarters ended in just one day. Afterwards, Mr. Zombie and the security team escorted the president back to the hotel. As they were about to leave, Lang remarked that they were lucky to keep their lives in that moment. After the one-day tour of Country B's zombie population, the president of Country A began his last day of the visit. After interacting with the civilians of Country B, the president returned home. As for the security team, they couldn't relax after such a massive incident and had no choice but to guard the president 24/7. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the two sisters were dumbfounded that their mission had failed. A month later, we find Violet and Lanky sparring together. Violet teaches Lanky to control her emotions, instructing her to focus her breathing into her upper abdomen and to channel strength into her palms. One of them then transforms, and Lanky eagerly initiates the fight, moving quickly and jumping around. Their movements are so fast that it's hard to follow, but Lanky feels extremely satisfied with the current situation. They continue sparring until they both feel satisfied, but in the end, Violet is about to claim victory. However, Lanky didn't give up. He dodged Violet's attack and retaliated with a kick to her head. This surprised the onlookers, who urged them to stop since they had gathered all the necessary data. Despite the request, driven by excitement and their enjoyment, they continued to spar. Their intensity escalated to the point where they drew their blades, turning a friendly match into a seemingly deadly confrontation. The fight grew so intense that it shook the city, causing a slight earthquake in the area. Realizing things were getting out of hand, the staff decided to intervene by administering a sedative to calm them down. However, even after their transformation subsided, both Lanky and Violet refused to relent. One of the scientists or researchers calculated that their strength after transformation was over 20 times their original capability. It seemed their power scaled proportionately with their base strength, making them formidable opponents. The researcher was particularly intrigued by their ability to regenerate after apparently fatal wounds, even after their transformations had ended. She pointed out that their capabilities surpassed those of ordinary humans, categorizing them as something else entirely. Lanky was shocked to hear this, asking if it was the price they paid for obtaining such power. The scientist or researcher continued, noting that their regeneration speed exceeded expectations. Almost like a miracle, Violet acknowledged that they were no longer human in the traditional sense, but emphasized they retained their human consciousness and lived as such. She questioned why they weren't considered human anymore, recalling that only mindless creatures were typically called zombies. Despite this revelation, Violet suggested to the researcher that they focus on developing equipment to control their emotions. She knew a meeting was approaching and wanted to avoid losing control and harming anyone. After the visit to Country B concluded, everyone enjoyed a rare period of peace and quiet. Mr. Zombie, in particular, savored eating some delicious sunny side-up egg. However, Mr. Zombie's breakfast was interrupted by a knock at the door, which turned out to be Violet. She informed him that the president was summoning him. Meanwhile, in the laboratory, the scientist Faye was either waiting for someone or doing something sinister at that moment. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe. See you next time.